Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I hope everybody is well, enjoying your Saturday. So we're going to do our baseball. We're going to get into the week one of NFL. I know we touched base on it a couple weeks ago, but we'll review, see if anything's changed. A lot of shit happening in China. 70,000 tons of gold there. They are the king. We have this war in Russia with the Ukraine. They're not even, it's like they want to bankrupt Russia. So they keep going and going and going. And now the Ukraine soldiers keep dying and dying and dying. But as long as Zelensky pockets the money, he doesn't care. And, it's crazy logic. But the other hand is it's going to bankrupt the U.S. and Europe because they keep providing stuff for the Ukraine to fight. So while it might bankrupt Russia, it's definitely bankrupting the rest of the world. And the difference is Russia's got 25,000 tons of gold. So they're not going to be bankrupt, but the U.S. and Europe will. Speaking of gold, again, this is paper gold, 33.36. Total bullshit. Not 1 ounce of gold was sold or used to lower the price. This is all options. It's all paper. It's all derivatives. It's all bullshit. It's price fixed. So they're coming up with a price because they want to buy. So I'm going to lower the gold so I can buy it. That's all that is. Silver, 38.18, lost $1. Why? No reason. They want to buy because silver's gone. Silver should move over $100 an ounce soon, and gold should get to 4,500. This is just, bullshit. But the dollar's going out because as you have to pay for war, you print money. And as you print money, the more you print, the less it's worth. I shaved. The more you print, the less it's worth. So they keep printing, but it's the money's worth less and less and less. So not good. But let's talk about something cheery like baseball. And that's how we see how we did yesterday. So I had already done my picks, and I came on last night because I had a busy day. So I gave you my picks, and we're going to walk through them. Today, first game is Philly and the Yankees at 105. Philly came on strong and won yesterday. But let's look at the scores. The White Sox get 11 runs on the Cubs, and it was a pretty good Cubs pitcher. I had the game under 8, 11-3. Texas 4-0. I did play Texas. They had Evaldi pitching, who's like a 2 ERA. Oakland beats Houston. Oh no, it's not final. I hate when you go to do a page and then it doesn't. It gives you the all. It won't refresh you. All right, let's start from here. Miami 5, Milwaukee 1. I did play Milwaukee and lose. Arizona 1, Pittsburgh 0 in 11 innings. I didn't play that, but a typical Pittsburgh game, they don't hit. It's funny how against the Tigers, they scored 8, 10, 11 runs. And here against Arizona with not a really good, I don't know who was pitching. Wasn't a big pitcher. They get shut out. Shows you how weak the Tiger pitching is because they're giving up 11, 12, 13 runs to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh couldn't hit the White Sox and can't hit Arizona, but Detroit, they can light up. Philly 12, the Yankees 5. I didn't play this game. I think Philly scored a lot of runs. It was close, and then I think they broke it open late. Colorado 6, Baltimore 5. Colorado's playing much better. Every team plays on streaks, so they have a bad time and a good look at the Tigers. They were on a very strong streak for the first half of the year. They didn't lose a lot. They kept winning and just whatever, and everybody was hitting. Now they're on a very cold streak, and this is going to last the second half of the year. And at the end of the day, it's like when my uncle showed me about streaks, and he had a quarter and he flipped it. He says, well, if I flip it 100 times, it's going to be 50 times heads and 50 times tails. But as I'm flipping it, it's going to be, you might get 10, 15, 20 heads in a row, and then 10, 15 tails in a row. And that's how I learned how to gamble, and that's how I learned what streaks are. And that's how I learned you don't fuck with streaks. You go with the streaks. You're playing roulette, and it's black and black and black. You keep betting black. I always hated when people say, well, it's due. Red's due. Because it's been 5, 6 times. It's never due. You always stay with the streak. And when the streak ends, then we get to a new streak. The Tigers won. They're due to lose. No, they kept winning. No, they kept winning. Now they're losing. Are they due to win? No, they're never due to win. They keep losing, and then they'll start winning. But at this point, you keep betting against them, which is what we've been doing. We bet the Yankees under for 2.5 weeks, and we won every game. Then they finally started to get some players back, which changed the variables, and they started hitting, and we got off the under. So Philly gets Bryce Harper back, and now they're going. But the Yankees aren't that strong. They don't have the pitching. Max Fried's even not pitching well. So Colorado was terrible. Now they're playing better. So you got to respect that. Cincinnati 7, Tampa Bay 2. Cincinnati's got a lot of hitters. So does Tampa Bay. Toronto 6, Detroit 2. That was our 5-star lock, was Toronto. They had Berrios with the 3.83 going against a minor leaguer, Kendrick Montero, who's 4-3 with the 5 ERA. Why is these guys in the major leagues? I don't know. I mean, what do you? So you understand and think a 5 ERA is professional and acceptable, and yeah, this is what I want. I want a staff of 5 ERAs. No, it's because you can't find professionals. So you're dealing with a lot of amateurs or minor leaguers playing professional ball, which is why the product sucks so badly. The Dodgers 5, Boston 2 in a good series. Dodgers in Boston, we didn't play that. St. Louis 3, San Diego nothing. Miles McCollus turned it on. Nick Pivetta with the 2.81 loses. I played San Diego and I lost with it. The White Sox 12, the Cubbies 5. I played the White Sox under. Hauser against Imagina. So Hauser with a 2.1 ERA. They give up 5 runs, but Imagina 7 4 through and 2 gives up 12 runs. Now, not all for him, but still, you've got 2 low ERAs. How the hell do you get a 12-5 game? This is the problem with the averages. And this is why the White Sox haven't playing good ball. So we might jump on them. Texas 8, Atlanta 3. I did play Texas. Nathan Eovaldi 8-3 with the 1.50 against Joey Wentz 2-2 with the 3.62. Joey Wentz more of a reliever, but Eovaldi the real deal 1.5. So we had Texas and got that win. Oakland 15, Houston 3. Oakland's hitting. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. We didn't play that. Minnesota 1, Washington nothing. We did play Washington. That's a loser. Zebby Matthews 2-2 with a 5 ERA shuts out Washington. Unbelievable. California, Seattle, we do win this one. We played under 8.5, and California won 3-2. We had some 2 pretty good pitchers going in 10 innings. The JETS, Jets 8, the Niners 1. Clay Holmes against Logan Webb. Didn't play the game. Postponed Cleveland KC. So KC picks up a half game on the Tigers without playing. And they got KC, who's a pretty good team. So we'll see. I mean, the Tigers are not home free in the least bit. So let's go through our games. Seattle on 8.5, we win. Washington, we lose 1-0 to Zebby. We hit Texas with Ovaldi. White Sox under 8 with two good pitchers, and they score 20 runs. San Diego with the good pitcher, we lose. Toronto, we win over Detroit just because Detroit is on a cold streak. And then Milwaukee, we lose. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We go 3 and 4 yesterday. Now I had picked these in the morning, so it's not like, I waited till last night to pick them, and I got the scores and I still lost. No, I picked them at 10. I just couldn't do class. So anyway, let's look at today's games. So we start 1 o'clock, Philly and the Yankees. Philly's 130-9. Our man, Ranger Suarez, 7-4, 266. Marcus Stroman, 2-1 with the 5.64, but he's pitching better. Last time I think I took the Ranger. I can't bet this game over, even though Stroman. Let's look at Stroman. You'd think 5.64, we're going to score a lot of runs, but I've been keeping an eye on him. And if we look at the last 5 games, 6 innings, 1 run to Atlanta, 5 innings, 2 runs to Seattle, 5 innings, 3 runs to the Mets, 5 innings, 1 run to Oakland, and then 0.2 of an inning, 5 runs to the Niners. So he does give up. Again, these are 5 inning. Okay, so we'll take the Ranger. And I think this will be an over, too. So we're going to play this twice. We're going to play Philly for 2 units. And then the Ranger, the Yankees, I'm going to go over 9, and I'll go 2 units on that. So basically, I think Philly wins, but I think the way they scored yesterday, and the Yankees have been scoring that, he's not going to, he's got a 2.66 ERA. He's not going to shut him out. He might, but we'll see. Cleveland goes against KC. I assume this is a doubleheader. The game's even, 8.5. Gavin Williams, 6-4, 3.54 for Cleveland. Michael Wacha, 4-9 with the 3.62. I like Wacha. He's pitched good, but he's got a bad record. But that's because they don't hit for him. Gavin Williams, they're both in the 3s. I hate this, so I'm gonna just let it go. Cleveland's at 51-51, and Detroit is 60-45. Detroit was 60 and it was 59 and 39, or even less. They had a huge lead, and now, what happened? They're not the best record in baseball. They're not even close. So they're 60. They're 15 over, and Cleveland's even. So Cleveland's 7.5. You divide it by 2. Cleveland's 7.5 behind. If they sweep the doubleheader and the Tigers lose again, they're going to be 6 games back. Detroit's going to start sweating, and Detroit can't handle the pressure. So whatever light was turned on for Detroit, where they all could hit, and they all, the pitching, the bullpen came and pitched really, really over their heads. Reality's hitting. They're bringing in guys from minor leagues to pitch who stuck. They're hitting stocks. Riley Green, they're big all-stars, leading the league in strikeouts. Just throw him a curveball. He swings and misses. Tigers are good at hitting the ball that goes straight down the middle of the plate, and then they hit a home run. Take that away from them. Throw them any type of curveball. They cannot hit it. The manager, as I think, is terrible. I think he cheats. Actually, we know he cheats because he cheated at Houston. So to assume he's not going to cheat here, that's like Harbaugh. Harbaugh cheated at Michigan. To assume Harbaugh is not going to cheat at San Diego, you're out of your mind, because they know how to cheat. unfortunately. So Cleveland, KC, so like the point is KC, but KC's 50-53. They're moving up. They smell the blood in the water, these Cleveland and Kansas City. They go, hey, Detroit's faltering. If we can just, it makes them focus, and then they get going. And Cleveland's been hot, and they start going. So no matter who wins this game, they will pick up ground on Detroit, especially in the doubleheader. So it's going to put pressure on Detroit, which they can't handle, and it's really letting these teams focus and gives them hope. And they're very dangerous when you give them hope. And it's really too early. We're still in July. And here, Cleveland's like, shit, by the end of August, we could be in first place. Well, we never thought we could before. But Detroit cannot maintain this level of ball with these players and this manager. They're not that good of a team. I never believed because they had the best record, they were the best team. I never saw that. They've got one good pitcher, an average pitcher in Mize, and the rest of the team sucks. The bullpen sucks, but one pitcher. And the hitting is average, but they were all hitting over their heads. Well, they're all starting to not hit, and now their averages are getting from, they're all hitting 280, and now they're all hitting 260. But that's a lot when you lose 20 points in batting average this late in the year. So let's look at Detroit and Toronto. I've already got it marked as a 5-star. Whoa, I got to be careful here. Okay. Gausman against Skubal. Gausman, very good, 7.7, 401. Skubal, 10-3 with the 2.9. I'm still taking Toronto, but I'm going to make it a 2-unit. I had made it a 5-unit with anybody but Skubal. So we'll go 2 units. Detroit's a $2, 200 favorite. I would not play that at all. Skubal will pitch good, but he'll pull him after 7. But you can hit him. And he's getting tired, and the All-Star break, he didn't get rest. I just think, I don't know what the streak is now. I know I won Toronto the 24th, the 25th, and then they lost to Pitt. So they got swept by Pitt. And then they lost the first, and then they lost to Toronto yesterday. So Detroit's lost 4 in a row again. And if Skubal doesn't win today, they're going to lose 10 in a row, and they'll be that. So Detroit, the only game they can seem to win is Skubal, but he's 10-3 with the 2.19 ERA. He's not that great. He's a good pitcher. We're not going to argue that. We know he's a good pitcher, but good pitchers have trouble. Toronto's got 8 hitters, and they are going to hit Skubal. So I'm on Toronto today. I think this line's terrible. Minus 207. I think you get an over here. I think Toronto lights them up, and Detroit doesn't hit. So it's all over the place. You can bet the game. Well, it's hard to bet Toronto under because they score so much, but Toronto's not going to get shut out here. So I'm taking Toronto. That's the bottom line. Arizona Pitt, Arizona 135, 8.5. We got Merrill Kelly 9-5 with the 3.52. Andrew Heaney 4-9 with the 5.03. Probably a low scoring game again. I mean, it was 1-0 yesterday. Pitt just doesn't hit. Last thing about the Tigers, it's just when they were winning, even the bad pitchers were winning, right? But when you're losing as much as they have, even the good pitchers lose. Casey Mize lost last time out. Skubal won, got their only win in 20 games, right? They're like what? 1-15 their last 16 games. And Skubal got the win, but he did lose before. He had a loss, and then he won. So he's 1-1 in that mess. But when the team's not hitting and the team's losing, even Skubal will try to do too much and lose. So that's my point. Take Toronto. You get 200-1. That's a great time to do it. Too much hitting on Toronto. Tampa Bay, Cincinnati 125-9. Seems like every day Ryan Peapot's pitching for Tampa. 6-8 with the 3.59. Andrew Abbott 8-1 with the 2. So we're going to take Cincinnati with Andrew Abbott against Tampa, 2 units. So here's where it gets difficult. That's the normal play. So I really shouldn't take Toronto because of Skubal, but we're gonna take Gausman's a good pitcher, but we're gonna go with the streak. And here I'm going with the pitcher. Atlanta, Texas. Grant Holmes 4-9 with a 3.81, and Kumar Rocker 4-4 with the 5.66. I'm not touching it. Atlanta's not hitting. Texas is doing well. They're winning, but we're going to lay away. Colorado, Baltimore. Baltimore 275 and 9.5. Antonio Senzalida 4-13 with a 6.41 for Colorado. What is he doing in the major leagues? Against Trevor Rogers, 3-1 with a 1.74. Baltimore's a huge favorite. Let's look at this Trevor Rogers. I never heard of him. Is he a bullpen guy? From New Mexico. He's only pitched a few games. And let's see. So if we go through it, 6 innings, gave up 2 runs to Tampa. 6 innings, gave up 1 run to Miami. 6 innings, gave up no runs to Atlanta. 5 innings, gave up 2 runs to Texas. And before that, he shut out Texas. Tampa Bay, he gave up 3 runs in 2 innings. In Boston, he shuts them out. You get a little bit of runs against him. So I'm not buying his 1.74 ERA is real. 6.41. Yeah, so I can see going against Colorado. I'm just going to lay away. I'm tempted to go over because Colorado's starting to hit, but I'll leave that alone. Oakland against Houston. Houston 185, 7.5. Jacob Lopez 3-6 with the 4.60 against Hunter Brown, 9-4 with the 2.57. Oakland put up 15 runs yesterday. Total of 7.5. Hunter Brown's a good pitcher, so we'll go with the Hunter. We'll take Houston. See, and here's where you kind of want to use the last few games but then you kind of don't, but it's not always. So because Oakland scored all those runs yesterday, you can't assume they're going to score all the runs today because it's different pitching. The variable changes. This is where the difference is between baseball and football. Baseball's every day. Football is once a week. Football, you get Mahomes the whole game and Joe Burrow, and although Jamar Chase is playing the whole game. Baseball, they got different lineups and different pitchers, and different pitchers you're gonna hit and not hit. So I got to ignore yesterday for now because of Hunter Brown. But if they hit Hunter Brown, then we're on Oakland tomorrow. Then we go, okay. Washington and Minnesota. I took Washington. Many won 1-0 yesterday. Mitchell Parker for Washington, 6-10 with a 5 ERA against Joe Ryan, 10-4 with 2.63. I'm going to go Minnesota here. Even Minnesota now smells the Tigers losing. So all of a sudden, Cleveland, Kansas City, and Minnesota are now getting to 500, and Detroit's getting back to 500. So it gives these teams life. They're going, hey, we can catch the Tigers. We can get, that's the hope. When they were 20 games behind, well, okay, let's go to Sunday school. But now they're like, wait a minute. They're coming back to us. We can catch them. They're going to keep losing. Miami at Milwaukee. Miami won yesterday. Milwaukee won 78.5. Jason Junk from Miami, 4-2, 309. Jose Quintana, 7-3 with the 3.49. Miami's been playing pretty well lately. They're almost 500. Milwaukee's 20 over because they won 11, 12 in a row. But now they're on their slide. They should never have lost 1-0 to Miami. So I'm going to avoid that. The Cubs and the White Sox. The White Sox have been playing well. The Cubs are at minus 209.5. The Cubs, Cade Horton, 3-3 with the 404. White Sox, Aaron Chivalde, 2-6 with the 476. I'm going to go over in this game. White Sox over 9.5. I don't really understand the line. The Cubs minus 200. It's at the White Sox. But Cade Horton's 3-3 with the 4 ERA. That's not a minus 200. And Chevalier's 2-6, but 4.76. He's not great, but I think he's pitching better. The White Sox are playing better game. They killed them yesterday. So I don't mind. I'm taking the White Sox over. Cleveland KC game 2. We've got the better pitching matchup. We've got KC minus 135.8. Tanner Bibby 6-9 with the 4.27 against Chris Bubic, who is very inconsistent, 8-6 with the 2.38. I don't like him. Very inconsistent. He's not a winner, so I'm going to lay away from that. San Diego, St. Louis. Ray Vasquez for San Diego, 3-4 at the 3.73. Matthew Liberatore 6-7 with the 4.13. I don't know. They played a 1-0 game yesterday, or 3-0 game. Both pitchers kind of stink, so I'm just going to lay away from this game. I don't like it. The Dodgers in Boston. Now, here's a good one. Clayton Kershaw 4-1 with the 3.27 against Garrett Croquet. 11-4 at the 2.19. My first instinct was to go over in this game, being at Boston, but I got to take Boston with Croquet with the 2.19 ERA. So we'll go 2 units. The Mets and the Niners. The Mets are even money, 7.5. David Peterson, 6-4 at the 2.90 against Robbie Ray, 9-4 at the 2.92. 7.5 total. The Giants don't hit. Let's go under here. NYM under 7.5. We'll go 2 units. Again, we got 2 good pit. Robbie Ray used to play in the Tigers. All of a sudden, he found himself at the 49ers. And David Peterson. So, 6-4 at the 2.90. I know he's a good pitcher for the Mets. The Mets can hit, which scares me. The Niners can't hit, but I can't go against Robbie Ray, and it just looks like an under game. And Seattle, LA. Seattle, as we know, hits better on the road for some reason. I heard that watching them against the Tigers. They give you all these kind of stupid stats. Can anybody explain why we care of how fast the ball leaves the bat? Oh, he hit it 180 miles an hour. Does anybody care? Do I care when I watch golf and they say, oh, he hit it 190 miles an hour? Does anybody care? Is it just so meaningless that, well, we assume the ball gets hit very hard. Do we care how fast it is? It's not race car driving. No, we don't care. I don't care how fast the guy hits a baseball or a golf ball. I'm not quite sure I care how fast the pitcher throws the ball. We assume he's throwing in the mid-90s, whatever that means. I don't buy that they know every pitch. The guy throws a sinker and it's up in the zone. No, that's a rise ball. It's not a sinker. All right. So what do we do with this? George Kirby 4-5, 4.65. Tyler Anderson 2-6, 4.43. 8.5. We're going over. We're going Seattle over 8.5. So I got a lot of games. Some are our reaches, but I don't care. All right, we start with Toronto going against the Tigers, going against Scoobo with Kevin Gausman, who's a good pitcher. Based on Detroit falling apart, really bad coach managing. So we're gonna, he does. His speech yesterday was, okay, let's stop playing like garbage. Well, that would motivate me. You got the first baseman, Torkelson, not running after balls. You got guys sliding in the home, missing home plate. You got a bunch of bad players is what you got. It's obviously the way they're taught not to go after balls. A guy not knowing how to slide in the home. I mean, you got pretty big problems there. This is stuff I learned in Little League. I learned how to slide and touch the plate if I was sliding. You would always run after the balls because you wanted to get the guy out. That's called passion. I don't need a coach telling me to run after the ball. I played a lot of second base, shortstop. So if I'm playing second base and the ball's hit, I run after it. If it gets by the first baseman, I'm running after it to get it. I'm not walking after it. I never walked after a ball in my life. It was always, I got to get the ball. That's the whole object of the game. So if it's me or not, and, if the ball is a pop-up in short center field, I'm going after it, and I'm going to do my Jerry Rice catch. So I'll never forget, I was playing in high school, and I was playing second base. And one of my friends was playing right field. And there was a little pop-up hit that I could have easily caught over the shoulder. And the right fielder said, I got it. So I stopped because he said he's got it. And it was just a pop-up, so I assumed he's going to get it. And he misread it, and he didn't catch the ball. And I said, why'd you call me off? I'd have had that game. I had that easily. And I told the pitcher, I said, well, he called me off. I had it easy. But nobody understands the skill level and how easy it is to catch a ball over your shoulder. You play football, you always are looking for the ball and you know how to catch it. It's a very simple thing. So if you just did that in baseball, if there's a pop-up, you just pretend you're playing, you just run after it like you're a wide receiver. So why the guy called me off of it, I have no idea. And then he nonchalanted and didn't catch the ball, which was okay. He called it. Very, very disturbing when you got people like that. All right. So Toronto 2 units, we're going against Schoolwell with Kevin Gausman. The way the Tigers are playing, they're not going to hit. And I don't think he can go through the Toronto with 8 hitters lineup. They don't have a bad hitter. The other hitters hitting like 240. They got 280s, 290s, 300 hitters. We're going to take Ranger Suarez against the Yankees, 2 units. We think the Yankees will score when they pull Ranger. So we're going to go over 9 for 2 units in the game also. Philly's just hitting too much like they did yesterday. Cincinnati, 2 units. They got their ace going. Houston, 2 units. They got their ace going. Minnesota, 2 units. They got Joe Ryan going. The White Sox over 9.5. Neither team's got a good pitcher. And the way the White Sox have been hitting, Boston, 2 units. They got their croquet going against Kershaw. The Mets under 7.5, 2 units. And Seattle over 8.5 because they score a lot of runs on the road, apparently. And 2 kind of weak pitchers. So that's my baseball for today. You're looking at how is a team doing. Because baseball is so long, the light finally registered on me that I got to play the streaks versus just the pitchers. So the team will go on a streak, like Detroit was red hot beginning, and now they're cold. We've all played craps. We've all played blackjack, baccarat, poker. And there's always streaks. There's always streaks. The dice might hit 5 6s in a row. You might 7 out 5 times in a row. You might hit craps 5 times in a row. It goes like that. Same thing with blackjack. You can't win, and then you go on a 10-hand win streak. Baccarat, the player hits 10 hands in a row. Roulette, red hits 10. How many times have I seen red hit 10 times in a row? So you go with the streak. At the end of the day, it'll balance out. So in roulette, it'll be 100. It'll be 50-50 black and red pretty much. You get the green, that kind of tilts it a little bit. But basically, how do you get there? And you're going to get there on streaks. You're going to get 10, 15 in a row one way, and then 10, 15 in a row. Sometimes you get black, red, black, red, black, red. but normally it's black, 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 red, red, red. And you got to see what's going on. So we have that, and then we're trying to bring it more to baseball than to football. Football, I look at it who they're playing and who the dog is, and I don't necessarily like KC was 15-2. I didn't bet KC every week because they were winning. I bet KC every week because they got Mahomes and they got a good defense, and I bet Cincinnati over every week because they got Joe Burrow and Chase, and they don't have a defense. So you got to understand the type of team it is. Baseball is similar, where when Philly scores 12 runs on the Yankees yesterday, and they scored late, you have to go, okay, they're starting to hit. So that's why you kind of watch the scores. The thing about baseball is, Pittsburgh played Detroit in a 3-game series, and they swept them. And then they go ahead yesterday and lose 1-0 to whoever they played. But the Tigers were hot, are now playing bad. So you've got to continue that until they start winning. You play against them. Even if it is school ball, you relax a little bit. But the 200 on school ball is a joke. It should be about 120. Because Toronto can hit. They got 8 hitters. I'm sorry. They're going to hit him. He's not Superman. He can't. It's not like the pitches are invisible or he throws 200 miles an hour. He's going to throw, but I've seen other teams hit him. Tampa hit two-run homers off the guy. So he's not going to give up a lot of runs, but you can get runs, and I guarantee you Toronto will. But Detroit's not hitting, and so the key to the bet is Detroit's not going to score. Gausman's good, and Skubal's good, and Toronto's got too many weapons that they'll hit them, and Detroit has no weapons. I love the 7 All-Stars, my ass. Zach McKinstry's an All-Star. The guy's a minor leaguer. Happy Baez. The guy's making $20 million a year, and he's hitting 200 most of the time. I think they gave him a do or die. Why was he the all-star center fielder? Made no sense. But I think this is what's hurting the team. These guys that are just minor leaguers were all-stars, right? Ricky Green, Baez, the second baseman, this McKinstry guy. There was one other. They're not all-stars, but in their minds, they're now like, I'm an all-star. I don't have to try. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. My thought is I was in the all-star game. And so they're not back to earth where they're realizing that, hey, I'm not really that good. I got to work on it. Oh, I don't have to work on it. I'm an all-star. And this is the problem. It's gone to their heads, and none of them are hitting. And I don't know. It's not something you can get back. I mean, it's like anything. If you're playing poker, I mean, and you get hands and you start winning, and I'll sit down at a session and I don't know if I'm going to get I've had 2-hour sessions. I haven't gotten a pair. I haven't gotten an ace in 2 hours. Then I've had pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket aces, pocket queens. My first 10 hands, it's boom, 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 boom. I had one run where I think I played 10, 11 hands in a row. I got cards. I bet, everybody folded. And but it was like aces. Oh, I got to bet kings. Ace, king. Okay. Queens. Okay. And then everybody would fold. And I was just getting cards. And they come in bunches. Then there's times I'm looking at 2-9 and 2-7 and 2-jack and 3-8 the whole for an hour. Those are the days I get up and see, this is where the streak really helps me when I'm playing poker. I get the streak and I go and I understand I'm on a bad streak. I'm not on a bad streak betting wise. I'm on a bad streak card wise. So if I sit down, I start getting ace, king, aces. I'm going to sit down for a while. But if I give it 45 minutes and I haven't seen a card over an 8, 2 6, 2 9, 2 3, 3 9, 3 jack, when I go through that after about a half hour, 40 minutes, I just get up and leave because you can't fight the streaks, but that's what's happening to you. So I understand that because I understand streaks. So it helps me in everything. It helps me in poker. So that's what's happening. So you realize that. But that's the difference in baseball. The streaks happen, the people hit, and then they don't hit. And there's nothing you can do about it. They're just not going to hit. So pitching gets hot, pitching gets cold. And there's really nothing the manager can do. There is no speeches. This is not an emotional game, baseball. Football is very emotional. You can hit the guy, and that's the game. And a nice Mahomes to Burrow to chase touchdown, the team's fired up. Baseball, you can't do that. I see the Tigers acting like a bunch of idiots where they're like jumping up and down like 5-year-olds when somebody gets a hit or somebody hits a home run. And then at the end of the game, they're all jumping up. Oh, we won, we won. Act like you've been there before. You shouldn't get all excited over a win or disappointed over a loss. You played, you did your best, and you won or lost. The 1970s Steelers. Chuck Noll said, if we need emotion to win, then you're off the team. We don't jump up and down here. We expect to win. We play our best, and we win. And it's business. And he was right. I mean, if you're going to rely on emotion, you watch these college games, they get all fired up. And, you see it, but what happens when something goes wrong? You have no emotion left. So when you see a big game in college and they get all emotional, I've seen where by the second quarter they're flat because they're done because they wasted their emotion. So in baseball, I think the Tigers were very emotional, like 10-year-olds, right? Jumping up and down, and a guy hit a home run, and they're all excited. And now I think they're flat. I don't think they have anything left. I think they peaked. The emotion is gone, and it's not something you can get back. Now you start seeing you're losing, and now the emotion's going the other way. Now they're crying. Now they're down. Now they're flat because they have no emotion left. That's why you gotta, when you win, you gotta act like you won before. Barry Sanders handed the ball to the referee after one of his 500 touchdowns. He never got all excited. That's what I don't like in the NFL now. They get all excited, like act like you've been there before. What's with this celebration bullshit? The worst is when it's a sack and or an interception at the 40. The guy goes down and they all run into the end zone and pose like a bunch of idiots. Really making it like I don't want to watch this shit. Hi, David. How are you today? So that's the problem with the Tigers in baseball. They're emotionally when they're winning, and now they're losing. They have no emotion left, and they might not get 80 wins. They got 60 wins now. There's like 50 some games left. They might only win 20 games of that. They'll be lucky. They have no pitching and they can't hit. And who are they going to beat? Oh, they're going to beat Kansas City and Minnesota, Cleveland. Not a chance because they're going to be fired up to play them because they're trying to catch them. David, you remember the Hulkster? He passed away at 71. Yeah, of course I remember the Hulkster. Yeah, he had a stroke. I read. Really too bad. He probably took a lot of steroids and vitamins, and that's what happens. Um, he needed to get off sugar if he was on sugar. That's where strokes come from. If you eat like high fructose corn syrup or too much sugar, you that's it hurts you, and then that's where you get a stroke and heart attacks from. So if you avoid your sugars, you should be okay. And that's what I've been doing. So yeah, it's too bad. Um, I don't know with him. You think he's a good guy, then you hear from guys say he lied about this and that. I don't know. I was more sad when the Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth died, I think. Um, but yeah, well, they all do the drugs and they all drink. How Ric Flair's still alive, I have no idea. But that's the problem, and it's sad, but that's what happens. People die. That's the problem. Somebody's mother died. Carmen told me her father died. I said, "Well, my mother died." I says, "It's just part of life. It's unfortunate, and well, what can you do? We're all going to die. You've got to face that reality, and that's why you try to enjoy your life as best you can. And this is why you got to be smart because you've got to have gold and silver so you can enjoy your life. Because the government's going to fuck us all over, and they're going to print the money to zero. So you're holding on to $100,000. You think you're doing good until you find out it's not worth anything. And now you're fucked, but now you're too old. That's why I get you into gold and silver so you can enjoy your life until we go. But yeah, it was sad. I was wondering. I was watching some Hogan. Yes, I didn't know why he was on like YouTube, and then I heard something rest in peace, and I was like, huh, you know. So it's sad, and I think when my dad died, it was more you're just remembering like he had diabetes and he had a bunch of strokes. He had like 5, 6 strokes. Couldn't even see anymore. He didn't get off the sugar, but at that time you didn't know. You didn't have YouTube. It was in the 90s, so you didn't really have the YouTube and the doctors we look at who can get you off of diabetes by not eating the sugar and fasting and eat a lot of eggs and chicken. And so he became really wheelchair. I used to go over to watch football games with him, and then his eyes went and everything else, and it was just too hard to see. So I choose to remember him coaching my little league and watching football with him and eating Chinese food and all that. I prefer all that to remember him by the good times we had, not seeing him in a wheelchair. David, he had 10 back surgeries and neck surgeries. That can't be good for you. Yeah, well, his move, he should have changed moves. I don't know why he didn't. When he did the leg drop, it really hurt his back, probably his neck also. Because when you land on that mat, it's not soft; it's hard underneath. So while he did, he couldn't create another move. You know, like the stunner, like Stone Cold or Randy Orton or one of those. Um, I was watching a match, Randy Orton against Brock Lesnar. I don't like Brock Lesnar at all. I don't like that style. All he does is these German suplexes. So he's fighting Randy Orton and he does like 10 German suplexes. And the crowd's going boring, and I'm going, this is boring. This isn't wrestling. And then he elbowed him until he was bleeding. So he doesn't even understand it's fake. You're not supposed to like put your elbow into the guy's head. So I assume he elbowed him to make him bleed. But he's a terrible wrestler, Brock Lesnar. I don't think he gets that it's fake. Why isn't he in the octagon? Why doesn't he just fight there if he wants to do it really? I think he's got mental problems, but I think his style is so boring. You can't watch it. That's what I liked about when Hogan and Macho Man and Flair. It was a very entertaining match. and you felt satisfied when they won, and knowing it's fake, but it's not, where they're selling. See, that's what you learn is they're selling the moves. So when Ric Flair looks like he gets hurt, he's selling the move that is. But with Brock Lesnar, there is no selling the move. The move he's giving you is a what do you call them? The German suplexes. How do you sell it? You're sitting there, he throws you over his head, and you land on the thing. You're winded. There's nothing. Or maybe you sell that you're hurt, but it's the most boring match I've ever seen. So I was never a fan of his. But Hogan, he'd be hurt, and then he'd come back, and he'd give you no, 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 and then he'd come in and win. That was exciting. That drew you in. And Brock Lesnar just is clueless. The Rock kind of can do it. Stone Cold can do it. Everybody else just is clueless. You're selling to the audience, and that's not what he did. But yeah, well, I'm sure. Well, he was big. He did. I think his biggest problem was the steroids, because you could see his big muscles were steroids, and he had them like even like now. If you saw him like a couple of years ago in one of these podcasts with Joe Rogan, he was still really big. So he still took his steroids and ate his vitamins and whatever. So yeah, it's real sad a guy like that dies at 71. I think that's a little young. I certainly hope I get past 71. So yeah, it's a shame, but there's plenty of matches on YouTube you can watch. So that's what's good. But like Andre the Giant died and Macho died, and it's sad. Ric Flair, we still got Ric Flair. He's 90. He's so full of shit. Well, I drink all day, and I drink 20, shots of vodka or whatever, and 20 beers. It's such bullshit. He'd have been dead a long time ago if he did that. All right, so that's baseball. So again, baseball is long. It's 162 games. We've got to be careful with baseball that it's a streaky game. And I think I finally figured out how to bet it, because I kept betting the pitchers, but what you don't realize is the players get tired. You can't play 162 days in a row. You get tired. There's pitching matchups and everything else. So I think the only way to bet baseball is streaks. Team gets hot, you bet them. Team gets cold, you bet against them. Just like what we're doing with the Tigers. Just like what we did with the Yankees and Milwaukee just won 11 in a row. We won 7 of the bets. And you can only lose one. The beauty of streaks so if you're playing craps. No, you're playing roulette, and it's blacks hitting 5, 6, 7 times in a row, 8, 9, 10. You keep betting black. Reds never do. Red just happens. Then all of a sudden, red hits. Okay, streak's over, and the bet's over. And now you see what happens. You don't necessarily bet red, but you're off black now. So you only lose one bet. That's the beauty of the streak. So if you catch it at 3 and you go all the way to 10, you've won 7 bets. Then red hits, you lost 1. So you won 7 and lost 1 betting streaks. Then you just wait for the next streak. Give it like three reds. Okay, we're on the reds. And that's what happens. And sometimes they only go 4 or 5, and sometimes they go 10 or 15. Who was my favorite baseball player? Well, I never really saw Mickey play, but I'd have to say Mantle. Of those I watched. So, I mean, I was born in 59, so I don't remember anything till I remember the 68 World Series. My favorite player. So it would have to, let's count it from after 68. My favorite player. I enjoyed Clemente. I enjoyed Barry Bonds. I liked Mark McGwire a lot. I like Jack Morris because I'm from Detroit. I thought he was a great pitcher. And then they let him go to Minnesota, where he pitches 10 innings, which would never happen now, and won. I just thought he was a competitor, but I don't think he was my favorite player. Good question. Probably maybe Derek Jeter, I would say, is up there. Um, Players like that. I mean, it probably would have been Mickey Mantle, but he was in the 50s and 60s just because of the pure charisma. Willie Mays, just, you like him. I didn't like Hank Aaron as much because he wasn't as Willie Mays played center field, and he was just a pure athlete. Who do you think was better, Babe Ruth or Mickey Mantle? I would say Babe Ruth because at that time nobody was hitting home runs. So he's hitting 60 homers, and the guy next to in second place is at 20, right? Maybe it was Lou Gehrig who maybe hit 20, 25 homers. So he was doing things like when McGuire and Sosa did the chase, and then Bonds came out. Well, that was common to get 60 homers, right? But I think Ruth, because Ruth could pitch, that's why I sit there with Shotani going, no, just stick him in right field. You can't pitch him and then have him play outfield because you need to recover from pitching and your arm's shot. So you cannot possibly pitch and then go play right field and throw the ball and then pitch again. It's ridiculous. So I don't like Shotani at all. But I think that I think Ruth was better. And again, most people didn't see Ruth play. He had a lot of charisma too. If you watch that Lou Gehrig movie, Babe Ruth's in it, right? So I just think Ruth was the better, for sure the better hitter. Mano was good. He was clutch. He hit 18 World Series home runs. He'd have had. I hate when they go like the best postseason home run hitter. Well, Mano, that was it. You won the title, and then you went into the World Series. So you're only playing 7 games or so in the World Series. Where now it's the wild card round and the first round and the division. So you're playing like 20 games in the postseason. So to get the home run record is a joke because you're comparing apples and oranges. You have to compare it per game, not total, which they never want to do. I hate when they say the Packers, when they say no teams won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and I'm going, yes, the Packers did. The 65 team won just because there's no Super Bowl, and then they won 66, 67. So don't tell me they didn't win 3 championships in a row, which they did. So I don't like how they discard the Packers for some reason. Did they not like Lombardi? But that's what I find with these statistics. They're such bullshit. I hate the analytics. It's bullshit because let's look at football, the analytics. You have go for it on 4th down. And it's so skewed because most of them are Jalen Hurts on the tush push for the yard, which he gets every time. Then you've got Buffalo with I was going to say Jim Kelly with Josh Allen running around and getting that most of the time. So if we take Philadelphia and Buffalo out, it's probably like 10%. But what do? They look at overall stat. They look at the macro level. Micro's individual, macro's total. So they look at the total and go, oh, it's a good thing. Well, it's not a good thing unless you have the tush push or Josh Allen. It ain't going to work. I've seen too many. Well, look at the Lions. They read it and believed it, and then in the playoff in the championship game, they did it twice and failed because they got skewed by the numbers. Because the numbers are for Jalen, Philadelphia and Buffalo probably got. Philadelphia was probably 100%. You couldn't stop it. So any 4th and 1, 4th and 2, they're running the play. They're not stopping it. That skews it. That's the problem with analytics. You have to get it down. First of all, it's a stupid stat. Secondly, you've got to understand it. The Lions were trying to do it against a great defense in the Niners. You're probably not going to do it at all. If you played Kansas City, their defense, the Steelers, Baltimore, and you do it, you're not getting it. Right? What Philadelphia did to the Giants doesn't count against, it's how is it against Baltimore with a great defense and Philly with a great defense? It's probably like 0. Teams probably don't even try at 4th and 2. I wouldn't be going against Baltimore. So that's the problem with analytics. So anyway, good questions, David. But I think Babe Ruth was better. Again, never seeing, obviously, Babe Ruth. Mickey Mantle hurt his knee. He was a great center. He was really fast, great center fielder. Reminds me of Bobby Orr. They both hurt their knees and still played well, but still played injured. And I think that now, if you ask me the best hockey player, I'd say Bobby Orr. Much better than Gretzky or Lemieux, because he was a defenseman scoring a lot more points in a harder league because there was just 6 teams. So the cream of the crop was in there. So I would go Bobby Orr. In basketball, I would go Wilt, and then Kareem were the best players ever. You couldn't stop Wilt, and you couldn't stop Kareem. Michael Jordan was okay, but oh, wait, he didn't win a title. He never beat Boston in a series, and then he couldn't beat Detroit in a series. So don't tell me how great – he was a great individual player, but Magic made the team better, and Larry Bird made the team better. Wilt never had a chance because Boston had a team effort. And when you have Wilt, you just get him the ball and watch. So Wilt was the best there, I would think. Bobby Orr in hockey, best baseball player, depends on the position. Koufax was the best pitcher, the best hitter. Yeah, well, Pete Rose with singles. Mike Schmidt was a great hitter. Clemente was a great both hitter, power and fast. You had Johnny Bench was a great hitter, and so you had a bunch of great players in baseball. And it's a little different though, because you got a guy like Pete Rose with 4,000 hits, who not a big power hitter, but then you had power hitters like Mike Schmidt. So there's a little variance there. All right. So that'd be baseball. Again, going through the picks. Toronto, Philadelphia over 9 with the Yankees. Cincinnati, Houston, Minnesota, the White Sox over 9.5. Boston, the Mets under 7.5, and Seattle over 8.5. We will see. Those are a little more tricky. The Seattle's over and the Mets under. Depending on the pitchers, it's a little bit difficult. All right. Shemar Stewart from the Bengals reportedly reach agreement after holdout. They'll all reach agreement. At the end of the day, the team has them because at the end of the day, what do we got? We got a football game on Thursday. Why on Thursday? San Diego at Detroit in the Hall of Fame game. Why would it be on Thursday? What are they, out of their minds? Anyway, let's get to week 1. And let us review week 1. Sometimes we talk economics during the week, and I like to break it up into sports. So, Thursday night, Dallas, Philly 7, 46.5. Most of these lines haven't moved much. Friday at Brazil, Kansas City 2.5, 45.5. We've got Carolina. Now we're Sunday. Carolina at Jacksonville 2.5, 46.5. Can anybody explain why Jacksonville is favored? The Giants in Washington 6.5, 45.5. I'm still going to count it as a 7. The Giants will be better with Russell Wilson, Scatterboo for sure, and Malik Neighbors. Their defense is okay. Their coach sucks. if they had a good coach, they wouldn't be this bad, and they would have. See, if Lombardi went into the Giants, for example, or Bill Walsh, and they had Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones would not have made the first practice. They'd have said, "Son, you suck," and they would have gotten a quarterback. Lombardi had Bart Starr, and he knew he could win with them. Bill Walsh had Joe Montana, but he had Steve DeBerg, and what he got rid of Steve DeBerg. New England was different because they had Bledsoe, and he was the starter until he got hurt. So if he doesn't get hurt, you never hear of Tom Brady. That shows you how bad Belichick is in doing that. So anyway, so I think the Giants could be better, but they still have a shitty coach. Pittsburgh and the Jets, Pitt 38.5. So let me understand this. Pitt added Aaron Rodgers and the line hasn't moved. Wow. Arizona 642.5 over New Orleans. I'm not sure who the quarterback's going to be for New Orleans yet. We'll have to wait. Oakland and New England. New England 342.5. Line really hasn't. It was 2.5, 3.5. Look for Pete Carroll to make Oakland better. Vrabel will make New England a little bit better, but Drake May is not the quarterback. Just because he can run, and look at Richardson. They're not good quarterbacks. Look at Lamar. He's not a good quarterback. Miami at Indy. Miami is favored 1.5, 46.5. Again, we're not sure if Richardson's the quarterback or not. So depending on the quarterback will depend on how we bet it. Do you think the Raiders will be better? Yeah, because they got a good they got a good coach. They got a better quarterback, but not a good one. They got Gentry. So you've through the draft added Brock Bowers and Gentry. So you've got to be better picking up a guy like Gentry and plugging in with Brock Bowers. So yes, they will be better. You got Geno Smith, who's maybe a little more accurate. More importantly, you got Coach Pete, and I think you've added Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator. So Chip Kelly realizes he's not a coach, but he's a good offensive coordinator. And that's my fear with Ben Johnson. He's a good offensive coordinator, but he had a stacked deck, and now he's got Caleb, and I don't think he'll be very good. But it's just a matter of he's never been a head coach before. So he's not the offensive coordinator. He's got to also look at the game plan and look at the defense. And the guy's never coached before. So you got to be careful, but that's where a Coach Pete comes in, and all of a sudden we got a real coach. He's going to get rid of the bullshit. He's going to run that he did at Seattle. This is going to be like Seattle. He's got Geno Smith, who's not really that expensive. He's looking for his Richard Sherman. He's looking for his Bobby. What's the linebacker? Bobby. I can't think. He's not Washington. Anyway, he's looking for his stud players, and he's good at spotting that. He won at USC. He was the coach of the Jets. They made a mistake there. That didn't work. No, he was a coach in New England, and that didn't work out just before Belichick took over. But he's a good coach, and that's the most. And look at Sean Payton. Sean Payton goes to Denver. All of a sudden, they're a playoff team. Harbaugh goes to San Diego. All of a sudden, they're a playoff team. The coach is critical. I think more in football than anything else. So, yeah, they'll definitely Coach B, one bad call in the Super Bowl, not running Lynch. Yeah, well, and I also blame Russell Wilson there. Russell Wilson knew the play was the double receiver on the right, saw the defense, and he really should have gotten off the play. I didn't understand why he didn't run his little option that he never got stopped on, where he faked to the back, and then he'd run around the side, and he would draw the defense in, and he'd run around, and I never saw him lose a yard on it. That should have been the play. But he didn't check off that play, which I thought was a big mistake. And he just threw it blindly, and the guy was right there. So I blame Russell Wilson on that because I know he would have had that. Now, what they say is Lynch had run on the 4th and 1s before and didn't pick up the yard. He did pick up the yard the play before. He picked up 5 yards. But then they brought in the goal line defense, and I guess he wasn't as effective, which is the reason he didn't run the ball, which I still would have ran it. I didn't mind the passing play, but I would have ran the Dave Casper play. And from the mid-'70s, you play action into the line, and then Dave Casper pretends to block, and then he'd go behind the linebackers and be all alone in the end zone. That should have been the call, and why it wasn't, I don't know. Why teams don't use that, I don't know. It's such a perfect call on like goal line and that, because they're selling out on the run. So had he just play action to Lynch, the tight end would have been wide open, whoever that was, for an easy touchdown. That's the play. So I don't know. And you can't stop it because you got to sell out for the run. But I agree with you. I thought, but he did kick Manning's ass, so I was happy about that. I had a big bet on that one. I had Seattle against Denver. I had Seattle, and I had the under because I figured Manning's not going to score. And then Seattle started kickoff return and pick sixes, and I made it by like a point. The beauty of teasers, right? All right. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Cincinnati, 5.5, 45.5, or 44.5. Joe Burrow will not start 0-3 this year, right? They are not losing this game. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, 1.5, 48.5. This is where they don't believe in Michael Penix. This is where we excel. Michael Penix is better than Daniels. If you watch the Washington games, you will see that. Especially watch the Oregon game midseason. Oregon goes for it on 4th and 1 like a bunch of idiots, and they don't get it. There's less than a minute left, and they're down 4 or 5 points. And Washington, one pass for 25 yards down to the 30-yard line, and one pass for the touchdown. 2 passes, 50-yard touchdown, 10 seconds left in the game, and Washington beats Oregon. And that's where you got to understand how good Penix is, and I just don't and they're not. Why is Tampa favored in this game? Atlanta brought in the 2 defensive ends, one from Georgia, one from Tennessee, who are very, very good. They're almost as good as the Philly, Georgia guys. You got the offense with Robinson and that. You need a coach. The coach sucks. So if I was Atlanta, I'd get a better coach. But you now have the quarterback you need. So am I going to hand off to BJ Robinson, or am I going to throw the ball all over the field? And I'm dead accurate. So people are selling Penix short. I don't know why. Did you not watch him beat Oregon twice, or what am I missing here? And then he beat a good Texas team in the playoff. Michigan, though, was different. They were just blitzing every play, which, okay, what did you want him to do? But he's better. He's better than the Baker. So I don't understand Tampa being favored in this game at Atlanta. Atlanta should be a 3-point favorite. Enough said. The 49ers, Seattle, the 49ers, 1.5, 45.5. That really, none of these numbers, they'll start moving. Like the first week is 9-5, September 5th. You'll start like September 2nd, that Monday, you'll start seeing the line go. And then I can hear how the sharps are betting it. Like, how the fuck do you know if it was a sharp who bet it? What would tell you? Is there a little, oh, wait, he's a sharp? Is it based on amount of money bet? Mayweather bet $1 million on a Super Bowl. Is he a sharp? No, he's a moron. But I don't know how people come up with it. I don't know what a sharp is. If there is something called sharps, then I'd be at the top of the list. So I don't give a fuck what the other people are doing. I don't follow, I lead. So I analyze it and then go with it. I don't sit there and worry about a sharp made that bet, so I'm going to bet it. If you're doing that, you might as well, not bet football if you got to listen to the sharps. Tennessee, Denver. Denver's 7.5, 41.5. I think Denver steamrolls here. Cam Ward, what, he's just going to walk in and that? Yeah, bullshit. I'm not sold on Cam Ward because I remember him at Washington State. And I remember a conversation in this class where a guy from Washington State said how good he was. He should win the Heisman. And I said, well, he beat Wisconsin at home. And I think he beat Oregon State at home. Let's see him against Oregon and Washington. And, of course, he lost those games. And it wasn't close. He was getting buried. That's the Cam Ward I know. So you got to like Denver, Sean Payton, Bo Nix. Who's Tennessee's coach? Nobody? Oh, he was an offensive coordinator. Oh, great. So he doesn't know how to coach either. There's one thing to understand the offense. Great. Doesn't make you a head coach. You've got to manage people. The offensive coordinators are more like chess players. They know, oh, if I put 3 guys here and I flood the zone and I do reverses and I do this and I do that. Okay, that's one thing, but not what they're doing. Houston and the Rams. We've got the Rams 2.5, 45.5. I like the Rams a lot this year. Stafford got Devontae Adams and Pukanuka and the good Williams, the running back, and a pretty good defense they picked up last year. And they got a very good coach who I can't seem to remember. God, sometimes I remember it, sometimes I don't. I can picture the coach. I just can't think of his name. Anyway, so Sean McVay, there it is. I don't have a key to it, right? Like the Washington head coach is with a J or K or something. Cliff Kingsbury, but it's the K I remember. Sean Payton, I don't remember. I guess I'll have, no, he's Denver's coach. No, he's Denver's coach. McVay, Sean McVay. So McVay have to be the key. Anyway, like the Rams, Houston, very good defense. Don't love the coach. Don't love C.J. Stroud. If C.J. Stroud was good, why would he have a sophomore slump? Now, I will bet you anything, Penix and Daniels do not have a sophomore slump. There's really no such thing. Either the quarterback gets it or he doesn't get it. But I don't know what his slump is. Oh, it's his second year in the league, and they've adjusted to him, and he hasn't adjusted back. That's not going to happen with Daniels. That's not going to happen with Penix. All right. So it should be a good game. Good Houston defense will keep them in it. Detroit at Green Bay. Green Bay 1.5 and 49.5. I'm a little bit surprised Green Bay's favored. Detroit, okay, the center retires. He's injured. The offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator leave. I never liked the defensive coordinator. They always gave up 30 points a game and didn't understand why they made such a big deal out of it. Ben Johnson, I think, was like, I got good running backs, good receivers, and a good offensive line. And he ran a lot of misdirection, and he ran a lot of play action pass for Goff because Goff can't go back. Goff has to play action pass. You can't just go back. So that's how I see it. And the offensive coordinator has no experience. So Detroit's going to be definitely a lot worse this year. I don't think somebody asked me if they would win 10.5. I said I saw 9 wins, possibly 10, if they can beat the Bears both times. They'll split with Green Bay. They'll split with Minnesota. They're going to get killed. Philadelphia, Buffalo, Kansas City, all those teams. They don't have the Jacksonville, Indy, and Houston that they had last year. So they had a lucky schedule last year, not this year. Anyway, I don't know. Dan Campbell will have them pumped up, but they'll be running around in circles. I don't know. I look for them to not be that good this year. They'll flame out because they had the opportunity when you're the 1 seed and you lose to the 6 seed at home. I think you had your chance against Frisco. If you just kick your field goals, you're in the Super Bowl. and that's a hard thing to get over. And then last year, that was it. They pushed, and then they lost the first round. They might make the playoffs this year, maybe, maybe not. Depends how good Green Bay is this year. Jordan Love's questionable. Minnesota is much better, except for J.J. McCarthy stinks. So this is going to be their problem: is how long does it take J.J. McCarthy to get hurt? 4 games, maybe 5, and then who's their backup? That's Minnesota's problem. And the Bears, good defense, no offense, so it's going to be a struggle. So I don't know. Green Bay 1.5, 49. Buffalo, Baltimore, very good game of the week. Buffalo 1.5, 52.5 at home. Baltimore with a little revenge. I don't think it means much in week 1. Buffalo, you're not going to stop them at home. They're much better at home. Look for this to be a huge game. Look for this to be very high scoring. And then the last game, Minnesota, Chicago. I don't know why Chicago is favored by 1.5, 43.5. This smells like an under. You have 2 terrible quarterbacks. Ben Johnson's just not going to come in, and Caleb's going to all of a sudden learn how to quarterback. He had Lincoln Riley, right? So let's not forget, Lincoln Riley was his coach in college. He had that one good year, and then the next year sucked. Notre Dame, Oregon just shredded them. Washington, I think, shredded them. And then the last game against UCLA was like they got 10 points. They played Arizona with that really good team that year, and they didn't score the whole first half. So Caleb can kind of scramble around a little bit. Give him credit for that. Whippy. He can't throw. Throws a lot of interceptions. Throws a lot of stupid passes. They will put pressure on him. Minnesota will blitz the shit out of them. I don't really see a lot of points in this game because McCarthy's not going to do anything. Even with Jefferson, the Bears have an excellent defense too. So the best teams on the field are the defenses. Where are they going to get points from with these quarterbacks? Minnesota's making a huge mistake, even drafting McCarthy and then getting rid of Darnold for McCarthy, who's never thrown a pass in the NFL, and you're going to use him. All right. So let's kind of look at week 1. Philly, Dallas. I put in last year's grades on the team. So Philly an A team, Dallas was an E team. Dallas with a shit defense, 28, is probably not getting any better. Philly with an 18, best defense in the league. Dak against Hurts, huge edge to Philly. Play against Dallas last year was 14-3 in a teaser. You play Philly as a home favorite, 15-3. So Philly's very good at home. Dallas, not so good. New coach. Schottenheimer's kid. I was never a big Schottenheimer fan. He always would do good in the regular season and choke in the playoffs. Couldn't win a playoff game. The son, if he learned from his dad, he's going to be a choke too. Dallas going to be in big trouble. I don't think the wide receiver ad is going to do anything. They're going to throw all the balls to CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if they have a running back. Micah Parsons is their key player who's held out, but he'll sign. You got to realize the players, if I got a chance to make $15 million, I'm going to take it. That's the way I am, So I'm up for a job at Ford, which I don't know what the pay is, but I'm sure it's good. And then I just got sent in for a job at Blue Cross, but it's like a 6-month job. And the guy said, is that okay? And I'm like, if I have a chance to make money, I'm going to take it because that means I can buy more gold. So yes, I would take it. But of the choice, I would take Ford first because it's a permanent job that's going to pay more. So that's how I looked at it. Yeah, I'm going to take the job because you want the money. So, of course, you're going to take the job. These guys are going to sign because they're not free agents, right? So if Michael Parsons doesn't sign, he doesn't get paid next year. He's not going to miss a whole year of $25 million. There's no way he's going to do that. So he might sit out a game like Emmitt Smith did. He sat out 2 games that year they won the second Super Bowl. But that's it. The owner knows I don't have to pay him. If the guy doesn't want my money, then he can sit. That would be my attitude. I wouldn't pay any of these guys nearly what they make. I wouldn't pay any quarterback $50 million or $40 million. Jared Goff, $50-60 million for fucking a second teamer. Are you kidding? And I love the ironic is that the Lions would have won the Super Bowl with Stafford and got rid of him, and they got Goff, and of course he choked in the championship game. He's good at 4 or 5 interceptions in the big games. All right, so I think Philly, they got the ring. So how are they going to be? But I think, I think the defense comes. You do have that complacency. Well, we won the championship game, so you kind of relax. So this will be interesting. Dallas, they could beat them, but on a normal week, Philly would win this game easy. So we got to see. Friday in Brazil, KC at San Diego. Now KC's got a bad taste, and that's the difference. KC lost the Super Bowl. They lost the 3-peat. They're going to be upset. Philly won, so they're going to be see the difference. Philly's not upset. KC is upset. So you see the difference there. Kansas City 2.5 and 45.5. Kansas City is a B team. They didn't score that much. Had a 19 defense. San Diego with a really good defense, an 18 defense. But they didn't score. They were an under team. San Diego was 15-3 in the teaser, 28-7 the last 2 years, but that doesn't count because Harbaugh wasn't there, although Herbert was. You got Mahomes against Herbert. Mahomes obviously better. San Diego is an under team, so the 2 good defenses. They play each other twice a year, so you can look at how they played each other. This is in Brazil. This is week 1. They're going to be a little rusty because they don't play in the preseason. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I don't really understand why these teams don't play in the preseason. But that's they practice. Yeah, they're practicing in shorts and they're not hitting. It's not the same. Really, really stupid. Although Mahomes tends to play in the preseason. So that's where we're at. This should be a tight game. I don't think KC runs away. I think it probably a little more low scoring because it's the first week and they're trying to get their timing down and everything. Although Mahomes and Kelsey does, and Rice and whoever else is there. Worthy, who turned out to be a bust. He had a good first catch, and then he didn't show up the rest of the year. San Diego, okay, we got Herbert. Problem is Harbaugh. And then the defense, you let Bosa go. I don't know what they're doing there. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of defense San Diego has, if it's the Michigan defense, which was very good. But Mahomes knows how to beat it. Carolina, Jacksonville, 2 Z teams, which means they both suck. Carolina with the 31 defense and Jacksonville with the 26. We got Vince Young going against Trevor Lawrence, 2 terrible quarterbacks. Play against Jacksonville last year, 15-2. Play against Carolina the last 2 years, 27-7. And we can use that because it's the same. Vince Young's been there 2 years. And Trevor Lawrence, they got a new coach, so we can just go 1 year. Both these teams suck. I can't imagine why Jacksonville is favored, except for it's at home. I don't think this is probably the only game they're going to win all year. Terrible defenses. And that's really the key. If they had a good defense, then they drafted the kid from Colorado who plays both sides. Does he play them both good? I don't think they're not going to throw to him. So if This is what, Jacksonville. Well, there's really nobody in that division. But if let's say they play Buffalo, I don't think Josh Allen's like, where's Prime Junior's cousin, and then I'm gonna not throw to him. And as a receiver, he's a dime a dozen. So that was a terrible pick. Giants in Washington. Giants is Z team. Washington's an over team with Daniels. 7-45.5 in Washington. Washington's defense was getting good. They had 23 and the Giants 24. That's not really, their 24-25 is not a good defense. I'm looking more for the 18, the Philly defense, the San Diego. That's when you're betting the defense. That's when you bet your unders. So neither team, but Daniels is the key here, although Russell Wilson and Scadaboo have made the Giants a lot better. They're probably not a Z team with those guys. The coach is on his way out. He's a terrible coach. That's all you can say. Anybody that would leave Daniel Jones in shows you he doesn't know what he's doing, because if he knew what he was doing, if I was the coach of the Giants and Daniel Jones was there, he'd be on the bench. And I'd go with Danny DeVito, or I would try to get Hendon Hooker, or I'd try to get the kid from Tampa who was really good. I would go that route. I would not have played. Daniel Jones wouldn't have played a down with me. I don't care how much you're stupid enough to pay him. They would have said, well, we're paying him $5 million. I go, well, that's your problem. You're an idiot. I would never have paid him 5 cents. He's not a pro quarterback. So anyway, I think it turns the game into an over, because I think the 45.5 is really low. Scadaboo scores touchdowns. That's what he does. Russell Wilson, he's fine. I don't know why anybody's got a problem with him. He won a Super Bowl. He's a good quarterback. He's smart. He always has scored. So I think against Washington's defense, they should be fine. And we know Daniels is going to light up the Giant defense. So we should get, in the 50s here. Pitt and the Jets. Or Washington last year, before I leave, 17-3 in a teaser. The play against the Giants, 14-3. But it's different because now we've got Russell Wilson. So we got to throw that out. These are what I talk about when the variables change. The variable just changed. Now Russell Wilson's the quarterback. He wasn't last year. Variables changed. All right. Pitt and the Jets. Pitt 339.5. Pitt's an under team. Not sure. They were last year, but now they got Russell Wilson. Now they got Aaron Rodgers. 20 defense. The Jets are a Z team last year with Aaron Rodgers. Now goes to Fields, who sucks. He'll try to do some running, which, Pitt will be all over because they play Lamar twice a year. And Pitt's kind of tough. They got to play Lamar twice a year and Burrow twice a year. Jesus. And you wonder why they can't do much. Well, if you had to play those 4 teams, you wouldn't do much either. Just with the 24 defense, but Salah's gone. The defense, all the coaches are gone. The new coach is terrible. He's never been a good coach. At the Lions, they had Detroit had a 31 defense. So I'm not buying this guy's a good defensive coordinator. Is he a good head coach? I doubt it. That's an unknown, but I wouldn't think so. Salah, I thought, would have been a better head coach. So play against the Jets last year, 15-2, 27-7 the last 2. So Pitt's a totally changed team now. They got Aaron Rodgers, they got DK Metcalf, and they still have the defense. So they're always going to have that strong defense. I don't understand this spread. Without Rodgers, I understood it. With Rodgers, it should be a 7. And the Jets are just terrible. What is Fields going to do? Is it like Daniel Jones? Do we not know what he is? So I don't think the Jets will win more than 2 games. And Fields, he'll go back and run. He can't throw. I was watching a game last year with Pittsburgh, and Russell Wilson threw this like high arching, and it came down pass. And they said that Fields can't do that. Fields throws everything on a line. He doesn't have any touch on his passes. How the fuck is he in the pros and he can't do that? So I think Pitt just dominates this game. Arizona, New Orleans. Arizona is an under team, as is New Orleans, 22-23 defenses. Kyler Murray for Arizona, no teaser trend last year. And New Orleans, we don't know who the quarterback is. Could be Hayner. I doubt Spencer Rattler. I doubt Tyler Shaw is not better than Jake Hayner. What I saw Jake Hayner at Fresno State was a lot better than when I saw Tyler Shaw at Texas Tech and then at Louisville. So we got to see who the quarterback is. Oakland, New England. Oakland, and they were both Z teams last year. They didn't score. The defenses were 26s. We've got Geno Smith against Drake May. Now, we don't like Geno Smith, but he's a lot better than Drake May. Yeah, both Z teams. Look for Oakland. Okay, so they have Brock Bowers. Now they're bringing in Geno Smith, who's an upgrade from the crap they had last year. And now we got Gentry. And we got Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator. He's going to get Gentry open. He'll give him the ball 25 times a game. Brock Bowers, the Notre Dame tight end. Hopefully they've added some receivers, which is the easiest thing to do is find receivers. And they'll be a very hard team to defend and very well balanced. The question is the defense. Crosby, I guess they signed a cornerback and another defensive lineman. That'll make the defense a little tougher. And Coach Pete knows how to call defense. Bobby Wagner was the name I was thinking. I was talking about Richard Sherman and Bobby Wagner. That's Coach Pete. Richard Sherman was a wide receiver at Stanford. He turned him into a cornerback, and he drafts him in the 5th or 6th round because he had coached him, and that was just unbelievable. So Coach Pete will run a better, sophisticated defense. So, and the offense with Chip Kelly, I mean, Oakland is not a Z team. We don't know what to categorize. It'll probably be a B team, which means they'll score 26, 27 a game and give up like 19, 20. An A team scores about 30 and gives up 20. The A team, Philadelphia, the A team, Denver, Baltimore, Buffalo. Those are your A type of teams. I don't think Oakland is an A, but a B team like Minnesota, I think Oakland will be. So I think they're a very live dog here. I don't get Drake May's not that good. Vrabel, okay, I like him as a coach. He's all right, but he's unique. He played for Belichick and for Urban Meyer, so I'm sure he learned a lot there. But I don't see New England putting up like 30-10 over Oakland. I think Oakland has a very good chance of winning. They will figure out Drake May and make him pass to beat him, which you can't do. Geno Smith, he'll keep you in the game, and just watch him run Gentry, right? They're going to run Gentry and throw the ball to Brock Bowers and just eat the clock. This will be an Army-Navy type of game, I think. Miami and Indy. Miami's 1.5, 45.5. We got Tagliabue against, we don't know, Daniel Jones or Richardson. Play against Indy last year, 17-0. Do they have the same coach? I don't recall. I think they do. Now, Tua's terrible. We know that. He's bad on the road, so I don't look at Miami to win. They're 1.5. They're an under team with the 21 defense. They didn't score a lot, even with Tua, 21. Indy's an even team because they probably scored about 25, 26, gave up 25. Most of it was Richardson running for touchdowns. He's a good athlete. He's not a quarterback, though. You probably need to make him a slot receiver like Lamar. So that's what you have. So we don't know. If it's Richardson, it's probably an over bet. If it's Daniel Jones, then we got to bet Miami. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Cincinnati, 5.5, 44.5. They were an over team last year. A lot of touchdowns for Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins and not a lot of defense. We'll see. I'm sure Hutchinson will sign because he doesn't want to lose millions of dollars. Cleveland was a Z team last year, gave up 26. So as good as Myles Garrett is, they didn't have a defense last year. And a lot of that is they didn't have Nick Chubb to kind of run the ball and rest the defense. See, that's what a good offense does, especially like Oakland. You'll see Gentry. He'll run the ball 30 times a game. With Gentry, you're going to see him really be playing defense because he'll run and get 5-6 yards and then pick up a first down and keep the clock moving. Long drives. We're playing Army Navy football. And then once in a while, you hit Brock Bowers. But that keeps the offense on the field and keeps their offense off, which makes your defense look even better and well rested. So keep that in mind. Chip Kelly will do that. Look at Ohio State's defense last year. It was very good, and Ohio State held the ball. But look, when Ohio State got into the playoffs, then they really upped it a notch. So Cleveland with the Z team play against Cincy last year 14-3, play against Cleveland last year 14-3. So they both won, but they didn't. If you bet against them with the 6 points, you won a lot. Both teams with 26 defense. And Burrow, and we don't know the Cleveland quarterback. If it's Prime Junior, we'll bet a lot on Cincinnati. More than likely, it's Joe Flacco. And then it's a pretty good over game. So hopefully, since he gets a little better defense, look for them to be pissed off and play much better this year. Tampa at Atlanta, Tampa an over team, 23 defense. Atlanta an even team with a 25. Well, you added two studs, a Georgia and a Tennessee stud, both on defensive ends. Look for Atlanta to be under 20 on defense. And with Penix now, look for them to be 30. Look for them to be an A team. Strong offense, good quarterback, strong defense. All we need is a coach. Send Bill Walsh to Atlanta. That's what you need. And they could be the best team in the NFC with Philadelphia. And their defense is strong. I mean, they added a Georgia defensive end. That's all you can ask for. Tampa Bay, good team. I don't like the coach. Baker's been playing well, but they're more of an over. So this game will be a tight game. I think Penix wins it because I think he's the better quarterback. Tampa Bay was 16-2 last year. Played against Atlanta 14-3. The last 2 years, 32-5, but we can't count it because we got Penix who only played in 3 games last year. That shows you how weak the coach is in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins supposedly with an injured arm and an injured shoulder and an injured this and then off the Achilles. Why didn't you play Penix like after week 8? What are you waiting for? Then he looks like a superstar and you only have him in for the last 3 games. What are you doing? Terrible coaching in Atlanta, which we know, which is their problem. But I see a very live dog in Atlanta here. Frisco and Seattle. Frisco was an E team last year. They gave up 26. They didn't have McCaffrey to run the clock, to keep the defense rested, let the offense help the defense. Brock Purdy. For Seattle, they're an under team. They got a 22 defense, which is okay. And now they got Darnold, which he looked pretty bad in the playoffs and against the Lions. I'm sure Frisco will blitz the shit out of him, and he'll have a terrible day. And they really don't. They have Kenneth Walker, good running back, Michigan State, and they got no receivers. You let Metcalf go, and the other. And I don't like the Smith-Njigba guy. I don't think he's anything. But with Purdy, and now you got a healthy McCaffrey and Jennings and Ayuk. I don't know if he's ready. I think he's out till November. But they brought in some defensive help. Look for Frisco to be pissed off. You know, when a team gets a lot of injuries, they don't look good, but they're all injured, so you can't. But their key injury was McCaffrey. The Lions' key injuries were on the defense, and they're still injured. So it doesn't hold water, the Lions' excuse versus Frisco of the player they lost. Seattle has nothing. Like I say, Darnold, forget about it. The Niners, I think, win pretty big here. Tennessee, Denver. Tennessee's a Z team, the 27 defense, and you bring in Cam Ward and a new coach who sucks. Play against Tennessee 28-6. Anyway, Denver, an A team. So they scored over 25 and gave up only 18. Bo Nix, 16-2 last year. Play against Tennessee last year, 15-2. So what you have is Tennessee sucked last year, and Denver got it together, 16-2. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, there you go. You've got the better team. And why do people just assume Cam Ward's going to walk in and do what? Look like he did at Washington State or look like he did at Miami? And he's not going to. This is not college ball. You're not playing Syracuse. Denver should. They could shut him out, I think. Houston at the Rams. Houston an under team, 22. C.J. Stroud stinks. The Rams were an under team with the 23 defense. Stafford's good. Cooper Kupp kept being injured, so they got rid of Cooper Kupp, and they got Puka. They brought in Devontae Adams, and they have a pretty good defense, and Williams at running back. So I look at LA as a solid B team, maybe an A team. Let's see what Stafford does. Again, if you blitz Stafford, he falls down too. So look for Houston to put a lot of pressure in this game. Look for the Rams to just roll to the right and keep C.J. Stroud in the pocket. Houston with no running game, some decent receivers, a weak head coach, a good defensive coach, but not a good offensive coach. You're not winning with Stroud. Last year, Houston was 16-3 in a teaser. The Rams 16-3 in a teaser. So they both play well. This should be a fairly close game because Houston's defense. Stroud just doesn't know what he's doing, and and the coach doesn't know what he's doing. They're just playing defense. Detroit, Green Bay, they're both over teams. Detroit gave up 30 points a game the last 8 games. Golf against Green Bay was an over team. Even though they had a 20 defense, they played a lot of high-scoring games with Love. Green Bay was 15-3 in a teaser, 30-7 the last 2 years in a teaser, which we can use. Detroit has been 30-8 in a teaser, but you couldn't use them last year. But again, most of that's against weak opponents. 2 years ago and last year, when they played the good teams, they got killed. This is Detroit's problem. Golf's really a weak quarterback. So if you watch the games, it's a lot of handoffs and then a lot of play action passes. And then the guys, and there's a lot of crisscrossing. So it's a fake run to the left. He turns around. It's a play action. The tight end's running to the right. And that's all it is. And, Whippy, he can throw it in there. So both are over. So both teams are over. Now, again, Detroit with the new coordinators, they can't be as good. They can only be worse. And Green Bay has the good coach, right? So they're a good offensive team. So probably a high-scoring game. Detroit probably, no matter who the coordinator is, the offense will just say, look, we're going to run these plays and do it. Believe me, they're not going to. If the offensive coordinator keeps, runs up the middle for no yards, he won't last long. So I say a high-scoring game there. I don't trust Detroit as a dog. I don't see Hutchinson playing until at least October. It takes a year after you break your leg to be ready to play football, more or less, anyway. Baltimore, Buffalo. Both teams are A teams, 22 defenses. Lamar against Allen. Baltimore was 16-3 in a teaser. Buffalo 17-3 in a teaser. Buffalo is a huge home field. They beat KC at home. They beat Baltimore at home last year. They're extremely strong at home. Buffalo 1.5, 51.5. Baltimore's a live dog. Buffalo will score, but their defense isn't that good. Baltimore has a bad coach, another Harbaugh, who thinks he knows what he's doing and doesn't. If I was coaching Baltimore, Lamar would be my slot receiver. He would never be my quarterback. Never, ever, ever, because he can't win. He's blown 10-point leads. He can't win a playoff game. He's in his 8th year. I think by now we realize he can't. He kind of throws it funny. He's just fast. Great. Let him be a slot receiver and run reverses with the guy and let him catch the ball and run perfectly. We've seen that a lot. Tyreek Hill, very fast guy. I won't want him as my quarterback, but I do want him as my receiver because nobody can catch him. And that's Lamar is very fast. He's in the wrong position. And Harbaugh, I just talked about Daniel Jones, right? If I was the coach, he would have never saw the field. I would never have drafted him. But if I got there and he's my quarterback, he's never my quarterback. Jones, why don't you can play tight end or something? You're not my quarterback. And that's the same thing with Lamar. You're never my quarterback. You're my slot receiver. That's it. And if the coach, so the Giant coach, my point is, never got rid of Jones, and now he's going to be looking for a job. They never won because they had the wrong quarterback, and that's usually why teams lose. They switch so you see Mahomes go to the championship game every year. If Mahomes quits, retires, gets hurt, and they go to this backup quarterback, it ain't the same Kansas City team, is it? And that's my point. So if you got Daniel Jones, you're in big fucking trouble. So that's not what you want. And then you've got the same thing with Baltimore. They make the playoffs every year. They're a good team. They ain't never winning the playoffs because you got a bad quarterback who can't make decisions, who in the pressure throws a lot of picks and fumbles, and you got a problem there. So this game will be a very high-scoring game. Both teams cover well. I don't think Buffalo blows them out. You don't normally see Baltimore. They opened at KC last year, and it was like a 27-26 game, and he threw the ball, and the guy, his toe was out of bounds, or KC would have tied it up. But you never see him really get blown out. And then Minnesota, Chicago. Minnesota was a B team, but again, they don't have Darnold, so they're going to fall. They'll be an under team. Very good defense, no offense. Wasting Justin Jefferson, 20 defense, 15-3 in the teaser last year until you got into the big games when they actually needed it. And the Bears are a W team. They don't score with a 22 defense. Maybe they're an under team. Yeah, no scoring, good defense. Caleb, he stinks. So you can see the difference. You've got, Stafford, you got Bo Nix, you got Purdy, you got Penix, you got Burrow, and then you got J.J. McCarthy and Caleb. And you can see the difference in the league. There's not 32 good quarterbacks. We know that. There's maybe 10. So if you go down the list, Mahomes, Herbert, Russell Wilson, Daniels, Aaron Rodgers. I need another hand. Joe Burrow, Penix, and Baker, Purdy, Bo Nix, Stafford, Allen. That's it. So I got 12 quarterbacks. I don't count Lamar as a good one. So that's what, I don't count Ward. I don't count C.J. Stroud. He's that good. I love when I hear on the radio these idiots saying, "Oh, there's the top 10 quarterbacks." And C.J. Stroud and elite. What game are you watching, buddy? They don't even know what they're looking for, or they look at stats or how fast the guy throws. I'm surprised that's not coming up. Now, since I do teasers, let's look at the play and play against from last year. Teams to bet on that they do well in the teaser: Tampa Bay, the Rams, Green Bay, Minnesota, Washington, Baltimore, Buffalo, Houston, Denver, and San Diego. What is the one thing they have in common? Tampa Bay, good quarterback. The Rams, good quarterback. Green Bay, good quarterback. Minnesota, decent quarterback. Washington, great quarterback. Baltimore, Buffalo, good quarterbacks. Houston, and Denver and San Diego. So all the teams mentioned, and Kansas City's just below this, all have good quarterbacks, and they all win, and we make a lot of money betting on the good quarterback. The play against teams, the team that if you have the game and you bet against it, the Jets, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Dallas, the Giants, and Atlanta. Now, Atlanta will come off that list because it was mostly with Kirk Cousins, who sucks. What's the thing here? No quarterback for the Jets, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Dallas, the Giants, or Kirk Cousins. And I say that because with Penix, they're going to switch to the play side, not the play against. But we have to understand that's a variable that changes. You must understand when you're betting the variables. Now, in roulette, there really isn't anything. The variables don't change. You're throwing the ball into the wheel, back rack, blackjack, poker, craps. There's no variables changing. Maybe the odds change a little bit, but there's no variables changing. The quarterback and the coach moving are variables changing. The key injuries. Those are variables that change, and that definitely changes the betting. So Penix using Cousins for Atlanta, they're play against, but going to Penix, now you have a good quarterback, and now you bet on him. So that's really the difference that you're looking for is the quarterback. So that's why you gotta be you've gotta be on the lookout for different variables. On the Titanic, it was the ice that hit. In inflation, it's the money printing. It's the war. Wars are expensive. In brics, it's the gold. That's huge variables changing. That changes the scope of things. Why do we want to keep going to war? Is so the countries will keep buying because the defense contractors are running the U.S. for some reason. They're not elected. They're running the U.S. They're killing all these people. They're selling their weapons. So we need a war to sell the weapons. And then Trump goes and says, hey, let's do everybody, the 5% of their GDP in Europe has to go towards weapons. So buy the weapons. And all of them go, yeah, but none of them have money to do it. Their money's all worthless because of the printing. But it's variables that changed. So now we have wars, so the defense contractors can get rich. The fuck kind of country is this? Very, very sad, very strange country. So this is the problem. We are broke. Now the variables change. So the variable used to be this was backed by gold. Now the variable is it's not backed by gold. So being smart people, we look at the variable that changed. There's no more gold backing the dollar. It means the dollar is going to go bust. It has to because it's not backed by anything. But then where's everybody going to go? They're all going to run into gold because gold's really the value, right? That's why I say the Mantle card, the Rolex, gold is the key and silver. And therefore, you have to run into it, and that's why you buy it. That's why we're all buying it. Makes perfect sense to me. So that's what you got to understand. The variables change. We get away from the dollar, going to gold and silver. Oh, but it doesn't move in COMEX. Gold went down a little bit. Well, I realized why gold went down yesterday and silver because it's options expiration. The end of the month, it always goes down because they use that as the thing. So it was yesterday and maybe a little bit on Monday will be the 28th. I thought it was yesterday because it was Friday, but it could be a little on Monday. But then when we get to the end of the month, and they've already marked it on like the 25th yesterday. So when we get to the new thing, we will go to then the price will really jump. So this is a normal end of month. It always happens every end of the month. It drops so they can set their prices, and so they make it as low as possible. And then, so this is how stupid Comex is. Well, it's the end of the month. We got to lower the prices. Why? Are people selling gold and silver? No, but we got to set it to our book that this is the price, and then immediately, and so they let them do that, and then now I can buy it cheaper. We can go buy it cheaper. We can. It's 33 like 50, so we can go buy it for 34.50. When it was 3,400, we had to pay 3,500 for it. So now we save 100 because these idiots are lowering the price for their books. So that's kind of what we do is we look at that, and that's critical. So you start understanding the patterns of what's going on. So football, oh wait, we've got Penix now instead of Kirk Cousins. Why Kirk Cousins? He's Daniel Jones. Why is he in the league? I mean, you can go through some of these. Why is Dak Prescott in the league? Jalen Hurts is average. Mahomes and Herbert are good. Why is Steve Young and Trevor Lawrence still in the league? Trevor Lawrence is terrible. Steve Young is terrible on Carolina. What are we waiting for with him? All right, he's really terrible, but yet he's still there. So we'll bet against him. But that's the key is you're looking for the different variables. Good quarterbacks versus bad quarterbacks. We'll bet on Mahomes. We'll bet on Burrow. We see Steve Young and Trevor Lawrence, and we bet against them. Russell Wilson, he's good. Daniels is great. Aaron Rodgers is great. Fields sucks. He's always sucked. It's not like he's going to get better on the Jets. Kyler Murray, I don't know Kyler Murray. He seems to be able to run, but he's never really a winner. He has good days, and then he's very inconsistent. New Orleans, we don't know. Heener, I guess. Carr, I think, is retired. Oakland, Geno Smith, we know is not very good. And Drake May, I don't see anything there. Miami with Tagovailoa, he's always injured and not very good. Indy, Daniel Jones sucks. Richardson sucks, so it doesn't matter. Cincinnati, Burrow's great. Cleveland, you're probably going to get Ryan, Joe Flacco. I don't know what they're doing with Prime Jr. Dylan Gabriel is much better. I would start with Flacco the first 3 games, let Gabriel watch, and then get Gabriel. And Kenny Pickett stinks. I don't know what he's doing there. If you got him, if he's running the team, you're not winning. So I don't know what Cleveland's doing. Baker and Penix, they're both good quarterbacks. Brock Purdy and Darnell. Darnell, we saw it, is a journeyman who played well in the regular year and then got into the playoff, got in against the Detroit for the 1 seed, pressure on. He folds. Never saw a blitz before. Couldn't get rid of the ball properly. Then in the playoff game, he gets killed by the Rams. So I, again, don't see him being anything. Ward's nothing for Tennessee. Bo Nix is very good. I don't get Cam Ward. I don't know what people are looking at his numbers. I mean, it's not a Miami offense against the ACC. I don't buy it. CJ Stroud's average at best. Doesn't know what he's doing. Stafford's very good. Golf's average at best. Jordan Love is about the same as Golf. They're both about the same. They're average in a big game. They won't show up. Lamar is a choke. We know. Fast, good wide receiver. Wink, wink. Josh Allen, he's starting to play better. I was always worried because he couldn't handle the blitz. I'm not sure he can, but he's more of a running back. So I think I'm understanding his game a little bit better. He's good, but he's not. He can't beat Mahomes. And then Minnesota, Chicago, J.J. McCarthy, terrible, and Caleb is terrible. So you can see the difference of the good and the bad quarterbacks, and you don't ever want to bet the bad quarterbacks. So when you get a Minnesota, Chicago with 2 bad quarterbacks, or Miami, and well, that's a little different. let's see. Kyler Murray, the Arizona New Orleans game. The Young versus Lawrence, Carolina Jack. Those have got to be under because the quarterbacks stink. They're not going to get points. It's easier to have a good defense and just say go after the quarterback. So I think that's what you're looking for. So that's week one of the NFL. I know you guys like how many games. I don't really look at that because of injuries. I just bet the teams every week, and I know who's my injured guy and who isn't. I go from there. Um, so my prognostication of what the team's going to be next year, Dallas, I think they'll still be an E team. Philly, A team. Kansas City, A team. San Diego could be a B team if they can score more. Carolina, Jacksonville, Z teams. The Giants, I think, will be an even team. That's 25 points both ways. I think their offense will get much better. Washington's an over team, possibly a B team if their defense gets better. Pitt will definitely be a B team with Aaron Rodgers. The Jets will be a Z. Arizona, I don't know. They were under last year. Marvin Harrison's terrible. And I think they added some defense. So I think they'll be a little bit better. They'll be a little lower, better defense. New Orleans, terrible team, probably a W. Oakland, I think, moves into a B team with Coach Pete and Chip Kelly. New England, I think, will be a W team. I don't think they'll score a lot. Their defense probably gets better. Miami, I think they'll be a W team. Very little offense and a terrible defense. Indy, maybe an over team. If Richardson, he runs for touchdowns, and I've noticed they do score a lot with him and a terrible defense. Cincinnati could be a B team, could be an over team, depending on their defense. We know they're going to score a ton. Cleveland, probably a Z team. Even last year with the 26 defense, even with Myles Garrett, and basically, and probably a lot of it was their offense turning it over, but no offense. So it's going to be they score 15 points and they give up 30. So that's a Z team. Tampa, probably an over team or a B team. Atlanta will probably move to an A team with Penix. Frisco will be also, I think, a B team. They'll score more and they'll play better defense. Seattle, under team or a W team. They're not going to score with Darnold, and their defense is not going to be that good. 22 defense. Tennessee is Z team. No coaching. Offense sucks. Defense sucks. Denver, I think, is an A team. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and they added some defense. Houston's an under team. Good defense. The Rams, I think, go to a B team. They got everything. They got a good offense and they got a good defense. Not great, but good. So I can see them being an A or a B team. Detroit goes to an over team. They'll score, provided their offensive coordinator doesn't have his head too far up his ass. But their defense is going to be really weak. And Green Bay's the exact same thing. They're going to score and a kind of a weak defense. Baltimore and Buffalo, both A teams. I don't have to talk about them. Minnesota probably goes to an under team. They probably won't score that much, but has really good defense. And the Bears will be an under team. They won't score, but their defense is really strong. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold says so. All right. And that's 2 hours. All right. I think that's it. If there's anything I saw. Let me just say hi to Daria. She's probably working today. Let's see. So There's a new Mark McGuire out today.
The following story allegedly happened between Kurt.
So with all these tariffs, what do we see? We see Australia and Korea make a trade deal. So all these other countries making trade deals, probably free trade, and Trump sitting there trying to do tariffs. They don't need the US. First of all, our money's worthless. Secondly, we don't trade anything with them. We give them money and they get to get treasuries. That's why China and Japan have all the treasuries, because we would buy their products and give them money, which made the trade equal. There's no trade imbalance. There's no such thing. How can there be? If I trade you this Canadian club and you give me $100, that's a fair trade. You got the whiskey, I got the money. Where's the trade imbalance? You don't have to sell me anything. If I'm selling the whiskey, I'm not trying. I'm selling you dollars. So a lot of these countries, they don't need the U.S. dollar. It's worthless. So you have that. But so you start getting these other trade deals. Alligators on this morning on as good as gold. I don't know, nothing too much different. I got to watch this one. What's next for Ukraine? What's coming next for Ukraine? This war is near ending because Putin wants to end it already. It's like, who wants to be in war for 20 years? And it's the same thing with the U.S. They want this never-ending war. What is that? Well, we'll just stay at war because we're not really fighting. We're not losing troops. So as long as we're not losing troops, and the defense contractors are making all these sales and making money, then we don't care if the war goes on and we kill all these innocent people. Well, what do we care? And we saw Mark McGuire yesterday. We did see Trump's scam with those coins, stable coins, where it's just his family makes a lot of money on them. Don't get into stable coins unless it's our only option. Keep your gold and silver. Don't sell it. I saw one video where they're talking, well, gold's going to be revalued at $40,000, which we'd all be happy with. But then they said, well, that's the plan. And then everybody will sell their gold at 40,000. And then they'll all go broke with the dollar. So they sell their gold, they get the 40,000. And then it's that. And I'm like, no, we're not stupid. Our point of buying the gold, we hope it goes to 40,000, but that's not to sell it. The problem is, what are we going to get for it? And if we get monopoly money, we are not selling our gold for monopoly money unless you have to. So if you have a vacation or you have a bill or some medical or something, and you need some money, then you're selling an ounce of gold to get monopoly money to pay for that. That is it. Otherwise, we are not selling our gold to get into monopoly money. We're buying the gold. We hope the gold price goes up, but we're holding the gold until it goes. We're not really looking to sell it unless, like, you need money to make a payment on something or like take a nice vacation. But that's only an ounce or two of your gold. So if you have 100 ounces, maybe you sell 2 or 3 ounces, get the money, go on a trip, pay some bills, buy some new golf club, whatever you want to do. But if we have 100 ounces, we are not selling 95 ounces because it hits $40,000. And now we're in monopoly money. We are never selling our gold to go into monopoly money with the bulk of our gold. It stays in gold. And then the gold will always have value because you can't print and or counterfeit it or inflate it. You can't inflate it. You can't print more gold. So that's why we're in gold. We're not in it as a stock. We're not buying it at 2,000 and selling it at 4 and making profit. Problem is, we don't want to be in this. We are staying out of this. And we will always stay out of it until there's new money backed by gold. And if we have to go and move to a BRICS country to do it, we'll do that. I heard Spain's joining BRICS or Hungary's joining BRICS. Oh, I can see moving to those, because I don't know how Russia is, and China is all communist and they're fucking all their people. They're not letting them get money out of the bank, and they got to use digital money and stuff like that. Well, we don't want to live in China. It's communist. Now, maybe Hong Kong or Singapore we want to live in. Pat lives in Singapore. He seems to be happy there. So we gotta look for the right place and have our gold there. That's what you got to do. So, I was telling my friend, I don't know if I'm gonna, how long I'm gonna live here, because it might not be the best place to live. It might be better to live in Singapore, Hong Kong, or some other country that is free. Because I don't know what the U.S. You got to use. No, there won't be CBDCs here. There was a law passed, so then it's stable coins. But are they going to make us use it? I don't think so. It's too much mafia here. They want to deal in dollars, sell their drugs. Prostitution is a cash business. So there's too many cash businesses. So I can't see them getting out of cash and using digital where it's trackable. Yeah, you're gonna buy a lot of drugs. Well, that probably. If I got to use my credit card, I'm probably not going to do that. So, not that I do drugs, but I'm just saying the people. So, keep in mind, this war is the biggest. It's just for the defense contractors to make money. I've never seen anything so stupid or ludicrous in my life. You're getting people killed in the Ukraine. So it might not be U.S. people getting killed, but there are people in the Ukraine. They're now using 70-year-old soldiers and 16-year-old boys to be in the military. What the fuck is that? I warned Jenna to keep your kid safe. She's got a 17-year-old and a 22-year-old sons, and I say to keep them safe so they're not going to get kidnapped. That's what they do. They kidnap the kids, put them in the army. Okay, you fight Putin. You fight the drones. I mean, you got to be kidding. Then they're doing like prisoner exchanges. I can see the Ukrainians. No, we don't want to go. We want to stay here. Anyway, there's all these physical gold exchanges coming in to Dubai, St. Petersburg, and Singapore, and Hong Kong, Shanghai, where they're all going to start pricing the gold physically, which means you'll never see the drops. The only reason you see the drop is the options. Like here, we had option expiration, and they want to price the gold at the end of the month at a certain way. So the price dropped on. Yeah, that's why silver dropped 90 cents down to 38.18, and then it'll go right back into 39s. But it's all bullshit. But once you go to a physical market, if I buy gold at 4,000, I'm not selling it at 3,900. Right? I mean, I'm not going to sell it at 4,500, but who's going to sell it? You're not. If you're buying gold, you must understand it's not really a stock. You're not buying and selling it like a stock. You're buying it and holding it. And when it goes, and because you need it, because the alternative, the whole key to gold is you're getting out of this. Right? You're Rumpelstiltskin. I'm losing dollars and buying gold. That's the whole key to this. And therefore, you're never selling your gold to get back into this, because the whole point was to get out of this. China is selling their dollars to buy gold, as is Japan, as is all these people with the U.S. debt, which was basically the U.S. buying the cars and all the products from China and Japan. We pay them in dollars, and we convinced them that to buy treasuries with them. And somebody said how treasury is the most liquid investment. Well, it's broke. It's not liquid. You're never going to get your money back. The most liquid is gold. What are you kidding me? You go to the gold store and he gives you the gold back. Nobody questions it as long as they can verify it. Yep. That's liquid as shit. What are you talking about? So bonds are worthless. You got to be nuts to hold a bond. Yeah, I'm going to get paid back after he pays the 37 trillion back. You cannot inflate away the debt, you know, because you're going to come out with it. So let's say you owe, I don't know, let's say you owe $300,000 mortgage on your house in US dollars. And now what are they going to do? They're going to, well, we've inflated it. So the dollar's worthless. So now you don't owe us anything on the mortgage. You think the banks are going to take that? Then here comes a new currency because you always have to have new money because it's a medium of exchange. When you go to work, what are you not going to get paid? All the companies going to shut down because we can't get an IT person at General Motors. We can't pay them, so we got to go out of business. No, there'll be a new dollar, and we'll pay them in that, and you convert it. So now your house goes from 300,000 to maybe 100,000 in the new currency. So the $37 trillion debt does not go away. You don't inflate it away. Well, the money is worthless, so therefore we don't owe you the 37 trillion anymore. No, sorry, it doesn't work like that. Anyway, that's the bullshit that you hear is from people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Anyway, so Mark McGuire, pretty good show yesterday. I showed you yesterday, so I'm not gonna bore you with it again today, but good. And it was 35 minutes. Mostly he talks about gold, brics, things like that. Comex blowing up. So Comex will blow up very soon. Just a second. So D is at work. I keep suddenly saying, let's meet soon. So I'm trying to be stoic about meeting her, and she's kind of nervous because of the war. Anyway, so I don't want to yell at her like, hey, let's meet already. Or if you don't want to meet, then fuck you. I don't want to do that. I mean, I love Daria, so I'm not trying to do that. But I do want to meet, but it's not that easy trying to date a Russian girl and when there's a war going on. Anyway, real quick note, my unemployment, everything's fine. I had a vision, and I get those a lot being psychic, that I was gonna look in the mailbox and there'll be a letter saying that there's not going to be a court hearing on Thursday. It was for my unemployment. The company was challenging it that I had quit and that the position ended. The position did end. They eliminated the position. And so this was going to be Thursday, and I was all nervous because you never know what happens in court. But I got a call at lunch yesterday saying, no, that they withdrew. So therefore, there won't be a trial or whatever you call it. This won't happen on Thursday, so everything's fine. So I was very happy about that and much more relaxed, as you can probably see. It goes back to the Joker in Batman when he says everything's part of the plan, everything goes fine. So when it's not part of the plan and it's chaos that you have problems. And that's kind of what I felt like, because my plan is I'm getting the unemployment and the Social Security. Football will start coming next month. And so I'm planning, well, I can buy some silver because I'm getting money in, and maybe some gold and go on a trip, and I can do all this. But I can't do it in, but that's part of the plan. I'm getting the unemployment in for 26 weeks. All of a sudden, they're going to take it away, and I might have to owe because this bullshit. So that's not part of the plan. Even though I'm trying to be stoic, saying, well, if I need to sell an ounce of gold, it'll cover everything. But my whole plan is to hold on to the gold and not sell it. So I have some money, so I don't have to sell the gold at this cheap price of 33.40. The idea is to, the longer I hold the gold, the longer the more chance the price goes up. And as Mark McGuire is saying, brics is going to kill COMEX because all these exchanges in St. Pete and Singapore and Hong Kong and Dubai and China and Russia, all these coming in will make a physical price of gold, which will make gold go higher, or gold might be revalued by the US to 30, 40 grand. Okay, so I'm waiting for that. Then now I can sell an ounce for 40 grand, even though I'm in monopoly money, but I can use it for a lot of stuff. I can give Daria more money because in her case, she's getting rubles with it, so it doesn't matter. And then have a nice trip and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at with it. So it's just waiting to let gold go up. So the longer I get the unemployment, the longer I get the football money, and the longer I can delay going through my money until I have to use the gold, then the better it is. So my plan is money in the safe is going to last me until gold goes up. So that's why I want to keep the money in the safe. Then the gold goes up, then I can spend more of the money because I can replenish the money with an ounce of gold. If I can get 40,000 for it, I don't need money in the, you sell a half ounce for 20 grand. You're all set for the money wise, but you don't want to have too much money because it's not worth anything, but it still can be used. So that's the thing. So gold being revalued to 40,000, I don't know if it'll be that figure, but if you're going to revalue it, maybe. And the question I have is when they revalue it, is that the new spot? Because it's on their books at 40, but yet spot's 33.40. So spot's 33.40, then you're revaluing it. So that's the point. So with that, that's what the idea is, because you don't want to sell too much gold. So we're not sitting there. This is not an investment gold. This is A, protection, and B, it's getting out of the monopoly money. We need to get out of this. So the only way off the Titanic's the lifeboat. We're not going to get off the lifeboat and go back on the Titanic. So we have to get out of these. We buy gold and silver. You can buy a Mano card or a Brady card. You can buy a Rolex or a nice watch. You can buy a Picasso or that. So you're getting out of dollars. You're diversifying because the dollar is being inflated to nothing. It's printed. It's not worth anything. That's why all the central banks are getting out of it. So you're just seeing, so why I don't want to get back in. I don't want to get back into this unless it's absolutely necessary that I sell 1 ounce to get $3,400. But I know it's too cheap. I don't want to sell it until I see, a 10 with 3 zeros and then only 1 or 2 ounces and only if I need the money. So anyway, that was part of the unemployment. Was not that I would be in trouble if I didn't get it, but it's not part of the plan is I get the unemployment. So I was really happy that is, but apparently I hear that a lot of these companies are trying to fight paying the unemployment. So they make up bullshit to try to get out of paying it, which is really unprofessional. So I think what happened is I talked to my buddies at Tenneco and I said, this is what they're doing. They're saying they're reacting to stuff you're sending. And they said, well, we didn't send anything. I says, you better distance yourself because they're making you look bad. They're saying it's Tenneco's fault. And it isn't, but they're saying it. So I think that's why they dropped it. I'm sure Tenneco called them up and said, what the fuck are you doing? You're making my guy all stressed. He didn't do anything wrong. And you're making us look bad. And they're not going to look bad. So anyway, I'm very happy it was. I called the attorney and she said, well, was it delayed or withdrawn? I said, no, they withdrew. So that means it's all over. So that's good. Anyway, I'll probably still get something in the mail, but that was the vision I had, was that I would win it, but it wouldn't, either I'd get on the line and they hang up. It wouldn't go very long. Now I'm waiting I had an interview with Ford, with the hiring manager for his senior financial analyst job. She seemed to like me. And then the next phase is to actually go in the office and do another interview with her and her boss to see if they like you for a permanent job, supposedly this time, although Tenneco is supposed to be permanent, and then go from there. So we will see. It was funny. I gave her a letter from a VP from Visteon, which my advice to you, if you work somewhere and it's going well and you got your friends with the VPs or the executives and it's ending, to get a letter of recommendation, because it's hard to use them as a reference. It's much easier. Who knows if the guy's still alive? This is 2005 at Ford. He's even alive, but if he is, he lives in Colorado. I'm not going to get his number and call him up for reference, but he gives me the letter and I just show the letter and they're going, fuck yeah, it's a letter from Visteon. He's a VP. He said Howard's a good worker, because that's all you need. It's really, see, that's the idea of like the college sports shows you how good a player the guy is, right? Football or basketball. And that's what I did. You don't know how good a financial person I am. You just know my background is finance. I've worked at Mercedes and Ford and GM. But when you pull out a letter from a VP, he's not just giving the letters away. And I should have got one from my boss at Mercedes. That was a mistake. She'd have probably given me one. And that would have helped me, instead of using references saying, here, I don't have references there. So anyway, I got applied to Blue Cross for a 5-month contract, I guess, which I don't care. As long as I'm getting money in, it delays. It gives me more time for the gold to go up. And that's really what I'm at right now. So we will see, but we can see gold's going up. And with all these brics going to a physical exchange, not the paper exchange. COMEX is a paper exchange. It's derivatives. What Russia and China will do are physical exchanges. And there's no way, like, this is physical, so I'm going to sell it for $100. There's no, let's sell it for 10, because you own it, right? If it's paper, if it's options, you don't. It's just you're playing options. You're buying low and selling high, or in risky and trading places, you're selling high and buying low. So you're doing it backwards. That's why the price movements on COMEX for the gold and silver, it's not real. Nobody's buying and selling. Remember that. It's not physical demand driving the prices. So that's why we know it's way, way undervalued. The real gold price is here. COMEX is 3,300. The real silver price is here, and it's not the $38. It's probably close to 700-800. But nobody believes it because, but it's never been over 50, because it's been price fixed. It's been paper gold and silver. It's been paper silver. It's never been above 50. Physical, with the demand for both, has got to be huge. So the key ingredients are high demand and very limited supply makes very high in a normal free trade physical market. Because it's not physical, that's why it's not there, but it's coming. And because it's coming, we're more than happy to wait for it. And now just buy it. It's a steal. The more you can buy, the better it is. So that's my point. Try to do that. Try to understand things. Try to know who to listen to and who not to listen to. Some guys come in with this economic stuff, and Jim Rickers. I said, don't listen to the guy. Peter Schiff, don't listen to the guy. They're idiots. They're salesmen. They're not economists, and they don't understand Austrian economics. Reichert's communist. Peter Schiff, I don't know what he is. He's not an Austrian. He might say he is, but he's not. I mean, if he is, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So try to be careful. Alligator he's not an Austrian economist. He's a banker. Mark McGuire's pretty much but he gives you some insight. And Egon is as close to an Austrian, but he still is more of a banker, stockbroker type. So you get a lot of those guys who think they know what they're talking about that don't. It's inflation is money printing that since you printed so much money, it has no value, period. And that's inflation. And you can't print gold and silver. You can't print limited edition baseball cards, and you can't fake Rolex. You can have fake Rolexes, but I'm sure there's a way to know authentic, and then that's what you buy. You don't buy the fake Rolexes. And so anyway, that's kind of the key to it. And once you understand that, fine. And then the other thing is the boat hits the iceberg, then you got to critically think what then happens. Oh, water comes in, the boat sinks. We need to get to the lifeboat. So that's what you're doing. Stable coins. Well, what's going to happen? Well, they're controlling. They're not worth anything. They're not backed by anything. Maybe they're backed by the dollar. Anything backed by the dollar or the treasury is worthless. Is it a way that it's a way of trying to pay the debt down by doing, bullshit, buying treasuries with your money in the bank, buying treasuries with stablecoin, because they can't afford it. The problem with big government is you have too many people, and you can't have a big government because how do you pay it? The government doesn't produce income. The defense contractors sell their weapons, but the government doesn't do anything. The government will get taxes from the defense contractors. Big deal. But that's the problem. You don't get enough. You can't pay for it's like having an ice cream store. You can afford 3 employees and then sell your ice cream and you make money. You can't have 10 employees. You can't pay for 10 employees. That's why I was let go at Tenneco. They couldn't afford me. But that's what happens. It's a lot of money problems. So that's what you're at. But with the government, how many government employees can you have until you can't afford them? And with all the employees we have, we can't afford them, I guarantee you. And since we're not using gold or silver, we got to keep printing dollars. We're fucked. So basically, that's what's happened. So massive inflation, these wars. Putin's trying to end the Ukraine war, which I hope he does, so I can finally be with Daria. Otherwise, there's nothing you can do. Europe, I don't know. There's a bunch of demonstrations in Spain and France. I don't know what's real and what isn't. And, it's a sliver of things. But like if you go to vacation, I don't think it's a problem. Go to the beach. I don't think you're going to run into it. And I think that's about it. So I will watch some more news to see what's going on. Again, alligator. This just came on this morning with the Aussie guys, but nothing much. I'm curious about this one. The end is near. So they put these titles in, and you're like, okay, but what the fuck? But then they don't talk about it. It's like me. What did I say? Major League Baseball picks, brics, Comex, and NFL. Well, I talked about all of those. I'm telling you what I'm going to talk about, and I talk about them. Sometimes I leave it blank and just say Austrian economics or master's class because I'm not quite sure what else comes up. But that's why I don't mind when I do get the chat, because then I can answer your questions and see where that takes us. Health-wise, just, be careful. Eating at restaurants, be careful what the meat is. Stay away from McDonald's. They don't serve real food. So you want to do that. And, mostly go to the grocery store more. I'm going to make an omelet now, and I'll go swimming later and probably get Chinese for dinner. It's one of those days. I went to Chinese a couple of weeks ago before July 4th. They weren't open. So I went to the other one that I used to go to, and they were closed. Finally, they had just opened. So it was good to go. It was good to sit down at the Chinese and get wonton soup and get the egg roll and get the meal. Normally, where I go was really good, but it's carry out. And it's frustrating. You drive there, you get the food, but you got to drive 20 minutes home to eat it. And it's, you kind of want to get out of the house and eat. That's why I like eating out sometimes. It's just to eat, to eat in the house and in the house and in the house is enough already. All right. Anyway, that's what's going on. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the sun. So I guess the Hall of Fame game is next Thursday, or was it? I think it's coming up. Maybe it was yesterday. Hall of Fame game is okay. It's Thursday, so 7:31. San Diego and Detroit in Canton. So that starts it, and then we'll have exhibition the first couple of weeks of August, and then we can see the players. Although most of them don't play because they're afraid to get hurt. Because you don't get hurt playing football. So the key is going to be how these. Keep in mind when a guy's injured, he doesn't come back 100%. He's always look at Cam Rising. Guy got hurt in the Rose Bowl game and never came back. His knee was just too much. So you got to be careful there. Anyway, that's what's going on. So keep that in mind. We're going to watch who's the new players. The injuries are always critical. It changes the variables. Cam Ward, maybe he surprises us, but I doubt it. We know what we got with Penix, and we know what we got with Daniels and Bo Nix. They're very good. Drake May is not. Because the guy can run for a 50-yard touchdown does not make him a good quarterback, Lamar. So we will see that. Anyway, that's about it. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be on tomorrow morning, www.teaserking.com. I might be on tonight talking about the MAC and the Sun Belt. I've been dying to do that and looking at everything. Most of the good quarterbacks in college are in the Big 12. Keep that in mind. TCU, Baylor, really good quarterbacks. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Enjoy.